Good evening, President Carver, members of the Governing Board, Superintendent Finch, Mrs. Taylor, district staff, and our room full of special guests. Welcome back to another extraordinary school year of Governing Board awards and celebrations. This is the first ceremony of the school year, and it's already packed full of accolades for our schools, staff, and students. We begin tonight with a school and a PTSA that proves when schools, families, and communities work together, the possibilities are endless. Stetson Hill School was recently named a National PTA School of Excellence, a title given to only 4 schools in the state of Arizona this year. Stetson Hill School and their PTSA were recognized for their accomplishments in building a strong, effective family school partnership that has been enriching the educational experience and overall well-being for all of the Stetson Hills Stallions. This award represents a year-long collaboration between the PTSA and Stetson Hills administration, teachers, and families. Together, they worked to meet with the National PTSA 6 Pillars of Excellence. Parents were surveyed to identify the areas where growth was needed, and then a joint committee of the PTSA members and school leaders developed and carried out an action plan working together on goals and action items in order to increase items deemed necessary in survey results from families. In the spring, their families were surveyed again and measured on the school's progress. Stetson Hills Principal Brittany Dyerherden had this to say about the culmination of their work together. We are proud at Stetson Hill School to be awarded the National PTA School of Excellence designation. This award belongs to our school community and celebrates the partnership between Stetson Hills and the PTSA. Congratulations to National PTA School of Excellence, Stetson Hill School. Next, we move on to 2 DVUSD campus leaders who have truly poured their hearts into Deer Valley and were recognized for their leadership and effort, being named the DVUSD Principal and Assistant Principal of the Year. These award nominations are put forth by their fellow administrators within and follow a review of the nomination by the district's cabinet level leaders. We begin tonight with the 2024-2025 Principal of the Year, Legend Springs Elementary School's Nicole Basil. A lot of excitement for Nicole, well deserved. She first joined the district in 2013 and has served both as an assistant principal and principal within DVUSD. She keeps students at the center of every decision she makes and is an active leader among her fellow administrators. As a key member of the building leadership team, Nicole helps move ideas forward, ensuring that the progress made by administration ultimately and positively impacts the entire DVUSD community. Nicole has also been identified as the kind of leader who lifts others up. She has mentored new principals, been the voice for her school's Mountain Ridge region, and understands that leadership extends beyond solely her school throughout the entire district. Under the leadership and her guidance, Legend Springs has earned the prestigious A+ School of Excellence by the Arizona Education Foundation in 2023. She is the type of principal who makes everyone on campus feel valued and proud to be a Legend Springs Leopard. Nicole has this reflection about being named the Principal of the Year. It is a great and humbling honor to receive the award as Principal of the Year. As a leader in DVUSD, I'm surrounded by highly intelligent colleagues, both at the campus level and the district leadership level, who have helped shape me and supported me in my leadership journey to this point. Representing our campus leaders on the building leadership team, participating in various district committees, and engaging in professional development has all been part of my experience and my ability to lead my campus and support them as a system. I believe in shared leadership, and I could not have done this job well without the incredible educators, families, and students I work with every single day. I'm grateful for my staff and the trust that they put in me, as well as the hard work and dedication they have collectively as we educate all students. I also thank my family and friends for their support, my husband who helps navigate my crazy work schedule, and my kids who truly live that teacher-kid life, before and after school and often on the weekends. It takes a village to raise a family and to lead a school, and I can say that this award is evidence of the amazing village of people that I am surrounded by. Thank you again for this honor. Congratulations, DVUSD's Principal of the Year for 2024-2025, Nicole Basil. And next, we celebrate a truly exceptional Barry Goldwater Bulldog. DVUSD's 2024-25 Assistant Principal of the Year, Barry Goldwater High School's Dawn Pace. She began her journey with DVUSD back in 1990. Her service has been defined by dedication, integrity, and a strong belief in the potential of every learner who's walked through her school doors. She's been defined by her colleagues as someone who leads without needing the spotlight, who shows up early and stays late, who is reliable, detail-oriented, and serves as a role model to others with her work and her work ethic. When the principal of her campus was away, she stepped up as a site leader, maintaining a smooth and consistent learning environment for everyone at Barry Goldwater High School. One of her most noteworthy contributions was serving as a key leader and helping her school earn the first ever A rating by the Arizona Department of Education. Dawn had this to say about being named the 2024-25 Assistant Principal of the Year. Being recognized as a DVUSD Assistant Principal of the Year has truly meant the world to me. Over my 35 years in the district, I have been blessed with opportunities to serve in different schools, each shaping me into the leader that I have become today. I acknowledge and am proud to work in a district that continually helps me grow, learn, and better serve our school and community. Congratulations, DVUSD's Assistant Principal of the Year for 24-25, Dawn Pace. Next tonight, we honor a teacher who not only makes an impact in his classroom, but is setting up his students for success as they continue on to college. Tom Clark, Boulder Creek High School's software development and AP statistics teacher, was invited to join the ASU Helios Decision Center for Educational Excellence Impact Corps as part of the 2025 cohort, based on his student success in software development at the college level. He is now the fourth Boulder Creek High School teacher that has been asked to participate in the ASU Corps in the last 3 years. The Helios Decision Center for Educational Excellence has identified public high schools in Arizona whose graduates are exceptionally successful in specific post-secondary disciplines. After studying the reasons for their student success, the Decision Center identified specific teachers whose practices can serve as models for other educators across the state. Thomas Clark is one of those educators, setting an example for others throughout Arizona. Boulder Creek High School has seen a jump in success of their students once they move on from Jaguar Nation and into Sun Devil Country at Arizona State University, as well as other state universities. In fact, Tom Clark's students in first-year computer science classes at the Arizona universities have had roughly 10% higher success rates in their classes compared to a statewide average. Despite the success of his students, Tom was skeptical and surprised when he got the call to join ASU's Impact Corps. He explained his reaction to this invitation. My reaction to receiving the call about being selected as a candidate for the Helios Impact Corps was pretty typical, in that I politely told them that they had the wrong number. I told them that they were probably looking for my peers, and in fact, Boulder Creek Engineering Program has been a part of the initial corps of cohorts. They persisted and scheduled an interview in the classroom and visited, and to my surprise, I did get selected for the 2025 cohort. However, I remained skeptical until that summer conference when I had the opportunity to see some of the data they used to find me. My summer batteries got an extra charge when I could see that the data showing the future of success of my students, Boulder students, and DVUSD graduates were having after leaving our schools. We have a disproportionately higher number of Helios Impact teachers hailing from DVUSD because our teachers in our district are having a noticeable impact on our students in the state. The Helios Foundation is making strides to improve education in our state, and I am honored to have been recognized for having made this positive difference. Congratulations, 2025 ASU Helios Decision Center for Educational Excellence Impact Corps member, Tom Clark. Speaking of successful students, now we celebrate a group of students who showed up and outshined their competition both at the state and national level, representing a variety of DVUSD, Career and Technical Education, or CTE programs throughout our district's high schools. The first of these students are two FBLA, or Future Business Leaders of America students. Charles McHugh, representing Sandra Day O'Connor High School, placed second at the 2025 FBLA National Leadership Conference in Anaheim, California over the summer. He competed in the Securities and Investment Testing event. This achievement is a result of preparation, dedication, and passion for finance. To prepare for the competition, Charles studied financial markets, investment strategies, and security regulations while developing critical thinking and decision-making skills that will be valuable both in academics and future career pursuits. Charles had this reflection on earning himself a second-place finish at Nationals. Only two things got me this award: discipline and hard work, as well as the faith in God's plan. Having a faith in God and honoring Him through all my hard work gets you anywhere and everywhere you want in life. Congratulations, National FBLA second place awardee in Securities and Investments, Charles McHugh. And while he couldn't be here tonight because he doesn't particularly love the spotlight, we wanted to celebrate this next fellow O'Connor Eagle, an FBLA student. Aiden Young placed 7th in the 2025 FBLA National Leadership Conference in Anaheim in the Financial Statement Analysis Performance event. This recognition highlights a student's strong analytical skills and commitment to mastering accounting concepts. In preparation for this competition, Aiden focused on interpreting financial data, evaluating business performance, and applying accounting principles, skills that will serve as a strong foundation in future academic and professional successes. Congratulations, 7th place in financial statement analysis at FBLA Nationals, Aiden Young. Our next competitor is making himself a name on the international stage. Ayan Bakhta, representing Mountain Ridge High School's DECA as an individual competitor in the International Career Development Conference, or ICDC, in the Hospitality and Tourism Professional Selling event. In this event, students assume the role of a sales professional and deliver a high-level sales presentation to prospective clients based on scenarios. Ayan prepared for extensively and developed a detailed sales pitch and presented it to a panel of judges at the international level. His exceptional performance earned him 4th place internationally, placing him among the top competitors in the world. Though Ayan couldn't be here tonight, he sent along this reflection of his efforts. I am incredibly grateful for the opportunity and especially for the people who made it possible. Ms. Horton, Mr. Sam, Mr. Ortiz, and Sandeep Alongo. They helped me prepare and practice every step of the way, and I couldn't have achieved this goal without their support. It means so much that all of my hard work paid off, and I'm proud that I gave it my best effort. Building my project was truly exciting and memorable. This experience taught me that if confidence comes from preparation, and it reminded me of this Michelangelo quote, "If you knew how hard I worked, you wouldn't call it a genius." I hope to inspire students to work hard with focus and determination because that's the formula for achieving great things. No student can succeed without advisors who truly care for their success. So once again, I'd like to thank my advisors and Sandeep for being amazing human beings. Congratulations, 4th place International Hospitality Tourism Management student, Ayan Bakhta. Next, we recognize the roaring dynamic duo of Mountain Ridge High School's DECA students, Shamitha Doki and Karina Kapadia, who wowed the judges with their community awareness project again at the international level. For this event, students write and submit a 20-page paper prior to the International Career Development, or ICDC, detailing their project's planning and execution and measurable impact. The girls put together a Ridge Gives Day aimed at beautifying their campus for this presentation. Shamitha and Karina had this reflection on their accomplishment. We are very grateful to have earned a top 20 recognition at ICDC for our community awareness project, Ridge Gives Day, where students of Mountain Ridge came together to give back to our community. None of this would have been possible without the constant encouragement and support of our amazing advisors who guided us every step of the way. This achievement is also extra special since we were able to represent Mountain Ridge DECA on the national and international levels. We are very grateful for achieving this award. Congratulations to Top 20 Community Awareness Project honorees, Shamitha Doki and Karina Kapadia. And finally tonight, we celebrate 2 extraordinary future engineers. Boulder Creek High School's engineering students who represented their program at the Arizona Skills USA competition following a win at the DVUSD robotics competition. The competitions of the Skills USA Championships are created and judged by industry to ensure that every student is learning the real-world skills employers demand from entry-level professionals. For the Spring 2025 National Competition in Urban Search and Rescue, teams were required to build a robot and arm mechanism prior to the competition. The robot must be capable of locating, grabbing, and moving simulated ordinances on the challenge course. This competition assesses proficiencies such as remotely operating the robot via a camera system that the students built for their specific robot. Using the system, teams navigate through the robot through dark, challenging places, including inside mailboxes and in dark tunnels, manipulating the arm mechanism to collect simulated ordinances, traversing various types of terrain, and communicating between the driver and the spotter. Joey Blasek and Preston DeJong competed against approximately 50 teams and ultimately earned second place. Joey had this to say about gearing up for the competition along with Preston. Preparing for this competition was tough. We redesigned our robot multiple times, faced challenges, and worked hard to overcome them. Every night, we brought home the robot and kept working on it after school, determined to make it better. Going to the district and winning showed us our potential the robot had. After that, we pushed even harder, and when we made it to the state level, we earned second place. This is a huge accomplishment for me and Preston. To me, this award isn't just another trophy. It represents the late nights, hard work, and dedication we put into building something we're truly proud of. Going to the state and seeing our names pop up on the screen will be forever etched in our memories, and the tremendous amount of preparation and determination that went into this award. Congratulations to Urban Search and Rescue's second place Spring Skills USA team, Joey Blasek and Preston DeJong from Boulder Creek High School. That concludes tonight's awards and recognition ceremony, and the regularly scheduled board meeting will begin at about 7 p.m.
Hello.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and mute yourself till you're ready to speak. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Regular Governing Board meeting and public hearing, Tuesday, September 9th, 2025.
Test, test, test.
Test.
I'd like to call tonight's meeting of the Deer Valley Governing Board, special meeting of the Governing Board public hearing to order at 7 p.m. Let the roll call show all members save Ms. Simichek are in person. Do we have Ms. Simichek on the phone? Yep. And Ms. Simichek is telephonic. Do I have a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Are you good, Ms. Taylor? Okay. First item on, or only item on the agenda, item number 2, Ms. Mock.
Your mic's not working.
Now we can hear me. Thank you. Good evening, President Carver. We'll start again. Members of the board and guests. I'm not going to take offense that there are about 1/10 of the attendees that were here for the awards this evening. I know that budget revisions are not quite as much fun as celebrating people, but this specific budget revision is more of a formality. When we adopted the budget on June 24th, we adopted on the fiscal year 25 forms, and so we are required then by September 15th to adopt it on the current year forms. It just so happened that the prior year forms were not available when we adopted in June because the legislature had not finished session. And so we have no changes to expenditures or to budget limits for this revision. It really is just a matter of formality to put it on the formal forms or the official forms. So normally we would have a presentation, but because we're not requesting any changes to expenditures or budget limits at this time, we did not present anything for you to show a net of zero. But being that this is a public hearing, and we do need to have an open call to the public to see if any of the guests who are here or the governing board have any comments or questions about the specific budget revision number 1 for fiscal year 26.
Thank you, Ms. Mock. Are there any members from the public here tonight to speak on this issue? Seeing none, do any of the members of the board have any questions for Ms. Mock? Seeing none, Ms. Mock, we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Anything to add?
And then we'll have an action item on this later in the board meeting as well for anyone interested.
Yes, ma'am. Do I have a motion to adjourn this part of the meeting?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. We'll go right into our regular meeting. I'd like to call the regularly scheduled meeting of the Deer Valley Governing Board to order at 7:05. Let the roll call show all members are present, save Ms. Simichek, who is telephonic. Dr. Z, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence? Thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you, Ms. Taylor. First item on tonight's agenda, item 3A, Pathways to Excellence. Dr. Galligan?
President Carver, members of the board, and guests, tonight I'm honored to share Deer Valley Unified School District state assessment results and other academic achievements from the 24-25 school year. This presentation will showcase the many accomplishments of our students in school, celebrate areas of strength, and provide insights into opportunities for continued growth as we prepare every student for success beyond high school. This presentation celebrates the accomplishments of our high school students last year, highlighting academic achievements and broader successes that prepare them for college, career, and life. This presentation will review state assessment results, highlight school achievements in advanced programs and graduation, and conclude with points of pride celebrating our students' success. We'll start with assessments. The Arizona SCI, or AZ-SCI, is Arizona's statewide science assessment. It measures how well students master science standards. In the 24-25 school year, Deer Valley High School students achieved a 45% proficiency rate, more than double the state's average of 19%, reflecting both strong science pathways of learning and outstanding student achievement. ACT Aspire, for grade 9, provides the early measure of college and career readiness for those students in English, reading, math, and science. In the 24-25 school year, Deer Valley students outperformed the state in every subject, with particularly strong results in English. You'll see that that was 66%, nearly ready or exceeds, versus the 45% statewide. Reading, 43%, and science, 36%, held steady, while math showed a slight increase to 40%. These results reflect steady progress while also highlighting opportunities to further strengthen readiness in math and science as students prepare for ACT in 11th grade and post-secondary success. ACT results for our juniors in the 24-25 school year show overall improvement in key areas. District averages increased to 20.3 in math, 20.4 in STEM, and 20.7 in ELA, all well above the state average, which generally ranges from 17 to 18. English also saw gains, while reading held steady and writing remained unchanged. Several high schools posted especially strong scores, with Mountain Ridge and Sandra Day O'Connor leading in both STEM and ELA. These results demonstrate meaningful growth and affirm that our teachers' instruction equips students to meet and exceed nationally recognized readiness in benchmarks. In fiscal year 24, DVUSD students earned an average ACT composite score of 19.5, outperforming, and this is really so cool, outperforming both the state and national averages. Arizona's statewide average was 17.6, nearly 2 full points lower, while the U.S. average was 19.4, just under DVUSD's results. This performance shows that our students are not only well prepared compared to their peers across Arizona, but also competitive with students across the country. This positions our graduates as well prepared to thrive in both college and career pathways.
I'll jump in a bit here. President Carver, members of the board, Dr. Finch, this is a important slide because it really is a celebration of the work that the administrators, the teachers, the support staff, and the students have earned over the past few years. When you look at this, Dr. Finch likes to make sure that we remember these scores are compared to what? So one, you can see the literal comparison here to the state and to the U.S. average. However, when you dig a bit deeper and look at the U.S. average, and I mentioned this before to the board, remember that that is not a representative sample across the board when you look at the U.S. average. What that is it's going to be a smaller selection of students who in general are higher performing, because not all states use the ACT as their state accountability measure. There's a smaller group of states, so there's about 13 states that use the ACT as a part of their accountability measure. So not only is DVUSD above those states' average, which have it as their accountability measure, but to see it above the U.S. average, when again, I'll just repeat, that is a very select group of students that is taking that test across the other states, on top of the fact that this also would take into account super scores. And so a super score is when a student retakes the test and they can retake a portion of the test or the whole test, and then that can factor into the composite score. So you have a select group on top of super scores, which are not part of our score, and we still are on top of that. So it really is a celebration, again, and I'll say of our admin, our teachers, our support staff, and the students in the community to see this type of results at the high school level.
If you can't tell, we are really proud of our kids. In this slide, proficiency rates in ELA and math improved district-wide last year with clear growth in nearly every high school. While results show positive momentum, particularly at Ridge, Sandra Day O'Connor, and Boulder Creek, continued focus will ensure that gains extend to all 6 of our campuses. This upward trend is encouraging, pointing to meaningful momentum that can be built into sustained academic growth.
And probably what I would just add here, as far as where we want to make sure we continue moving, is if you think back to 2 slides ago, you saw the average composites for the subject-specific areas. For Arizona, in our accountability framework, they start proficiency at a composite score of 19. Well, not a composite score, but a subject-specific score of 19. And so we'd like to see each of our high schools then start having that average score be at 19 or higher for both ELA and math. And this, you see some of this reflected here too.
We're going to slide over to Azella. Azella is our English language learner assessment. It provides insight into the progress of our ELL learners across our district. Last year, many students advanced from emerging and basic levels into intermediate and proficient bands, which is important. With some schools, again, like O'Connor, showing nearly 40% proficiency. While this growth demonstrates the impact of strong EL programming in our district and the supports we provide, We also see that many students remain in the earlier stages of language development. We know that kids come and kids go. Continued focus on targeted instruction and scaffolding for our kids will be essential to support more students in achieving full English proficiency and unlocking success across all subject areas. I'll continue with Azella just a little bit. The results highlight student progress in listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Last year, the strongest gains were in speaking with 40% proficient district-wide, and this is so, I can't tell you how proud we are. Deer Valley High School exceeded at 60%. The teachers there and the EL specialist really have honed in with the kids there. Listening and writing showed moderate proficiency, while reading remains the most challenging area. These results show both areas of growth and the need for continued supports, emphasizing the importance of our ongoing language development through the school year, as well, if you remember the last report that I did, into the summer with our EL Writers Workshop program. All of that just combines to give our English learners a solid foundation. We're going to shift into some of our advanced academic highlights. This slide shows the percentage of students who took at least one AP course during high school. In Deer Valley, 42% of seniors participated at some point during their high school career, and this is above the national average of about 35%. Participation is especially strong at O'Connor and Boulder Creek, where nearly half of the seniors completed AP coursework at some point during their 4 years of high school. These results demonstrate our success in expanding access to advanced college-level opportunities to all of our students. AP exam performance across our campuses remains a district strength as well, with 81% of exams scoring 3 or higher. I can't stress to you how important that is. 81% of the students who took exams scored at a 3 or higher, well above the national average of about 60%. Several schools achieved pass rates above 80%, showing strong mastery of college-level material. Average exam scores across the district also held steady at 3.5, reflecting both the rigor of instruction and student readiness. These results show that our students not only have strong access to AP courses, but are excelling on exams, performing well above the national averages.
I probably would just point out here for the board, again, 2 things. One, the score of 3 is important here on the advanced placement test from the College Board, because when you score at a 3, that is when you start earning credit at the university level. And so that's an important threshold for the students to meet. The second piece is that when you start taking multiple exams and you start averaging, as Dr. Galligan explained, at a 3.25 or a 3.5 or higher, you then get into the AP Scholar and the AP Scholar with Distinction pieces, and you'll see that our percentages now are outpacing the national average for that.
This slide shows the percentage of graduating seniors who scored a 3 or higher on at least one AP exam. Last year, 26.1% of our graduates achieved this benchmark, outperforming both the state average of 16.3% and the national average of 22.6%. These results show that our students not only take on rigorous courses, and our counselors really support our kids in that choice decision, but succeeded at levels that outpace state and national scores. Deer Valley students earned AP, this is what Dr. Zerbach was just talking about. Deer Valley students earned AP awards at record levels in 2025, including 341 AP scholars, 158 scholars with honor, and 323 scholars with distinction. These awards highlight not only increased participation, but also consistent high performance across multiple exams. This growth demonstrates both the breadth and depth of student excellence, and it is important because AP success, as Dr. Zerbach mentioned, provides national recognition that helps graduates stand out in competitive college admissions and scholarship processes. Last year, you might have heard this number already, but I'm going to repeat it. Last year, our seniors were awarded over $70.3 million in scholarships. Huge savings to our families.
And I would just point out again, to see that an AP Scholar with Distinction means that a student took 5 or more AP classes, scored a 3 on all 5, and then averaged a 3.5 on those scores for all 5 tests. So that is certainly an accomplishment for those students.
And I would be remiss if I didn't, if you'd go back to that previous slide, if I didn't share that it is not just a single year or a single teacher with the AP exams. This is a concerted effort from kindergarten through elementary into middle and starting into high school. Every educator and administrator who has had a part in that student's life has prepared them for rigorous academic excellence. We're going to shift now into International Baccalaureate. The IB program at Barry Goldwater continues to grow with 76 students enrolled and a record 234 certificates awarded last year. At the same time, you'll notice the number of full diploma candidates remains fairly small, and only 61% of the exams scored 4 or higher, below the global average of 70 to 80%. These results highlight strong student interest alongside a clear challenge, building greater diploma-level participation at Goldwater while raising exam performance to meet global standards. And you can see they were there. I think you need to go to the next slide. There you go. You can see they were there in previous years, and it's just a matter of working forward with them. What I will say that we're proud of is our International Baccalaureate students achieved premier national and international recognition, earning prestigious honors like the Rhodes Scholarship and appointments to the U.S. Naval and Air Force academies. Their remarkable successes is further demonstrated through highly competitive awards, including Flynn, National Merit Bezos, and Dorrance scholarships. The legacy of excellence underscores the outstanding caliber of students our district proudly serves and the strength of our academic programs, including IB. Goldwater's IB students achieve at the highest levels, earning these scholarships based on the work that they've done all through their education career. Now we're going to go into dual enrollment. Dual enrollment opportunities continue to expand across Deer Valley, giving students the chance to earn college credit while still in high school. Last year, campuses offered up to 42 courses, and participation remained strong with our students. These programs not only save families money on college tuition, but also give students a tangible head start on their college journey. In 24-25, more than 2,100 students district-wide, 2,100 students district-wide earned college credit through dual enrollment courses, the highest total in the past 5 years. Schools such as Ridge and O'Connor led with over 600 students each earning credits, while Barry Goldwater and Boulder Creek also posted steady increases. These results reflect Deer Valley's commitment to expanding access to college-level coursework and ensuring students graduate with a meaningful advantage in higher education. Deer Valley's dual enrollment program has grown to include students earning full college credentials before graduation. Let me say that again. They earn their AA or AS degrees in high school. A big congratulations to Deer Valley High School for awarding the highest number of associate degrees, with O'Connor and Mountain Ridge also expanding opportunities for students to earn those college credentials before graduating from high school. These results illustrate how early college pathways translate into real college credentials before graduation. Another slide that we wanted to share with you is this one that shows senior participation in advanced academic courses, and we include AP, IB, dual enrollment, honors, world language, and CTE courses. On the right, we highlight just AP, IB, honors, and dual enrollment. Nationally, about 35% of graduates take at least one AP exam, and only about 22% score a 3 or higher in contrast. Nearly all DVUSD students have completed at least one advanced course during high school, placing our district well above national norms. This underscores a system-wide culture where rigorous learning is the norm, not the exception. And if you look at that, just that data on the left side, if you think to yourself, 98% of our students at Ridge or 100% of our students at O'Connor take at least one of these advanced academic courses, 100% at Aspire. Truly, our students and our counselors and our teachers work hard to get kids the options and the choices that they need so that they can be successful post-graduation. Again, this next slide shows the percentage of seniors who have taken at least one dual enrollment AP or honors course during their high school years. Last year, nearly 60% of Deer Valley seniors completed a dual enrollment course, well above the national average of only about 11%. These graduates participate in dual enrollment credit programs, and the 42% of our DVUSD seniors completed AP courses compared to about 35% nationally who take at least one AP exam. Honors courses also remain strong, with over 60% of Deer Valley seniors participating sometime during high school, reflecting again that broad access to rigorous coursework. Together, these results show that as a school system, Deer Valley provides advanced learning opportunities at levels that exceed national norms and position our students to enter college and careers with confidence. We'll just slip just quickly into CTE. Deer Valley students are graduating with valuable industry-recognized certifications that give them a competitive edge in both college and the workplace. Last year, more than 1,200 certifications were earned across the district, with Boulder Creek, O'Connor, and Ridge leading in attainment. These credentials in fields such as design, medicine, software, and early childhood education validate real-world skills, open doors to career pathways, and strengthen students' readiness for success beyond high school. Another area that we sometimes bring up, I usually put this in updates, but I wanted just to share it here. Deer Valley students are expanding their achievements through Arizona's Diploma SEALS program. This year marked the first time students earned the Seal of Civic Literacy, and we are setting goals to grow participation in the Seal of Personal Finance. The Seal of Arts Proficiency saw notable growth, with a 42% increase in seals awarded across the district, recognizing student excellence in music, dance, and visual arts. The Seal of Biliteracy has been a long-standing recognition in Deer Valley, celebrating students who achieve proficiency in English and at least one additional language. In 2025, 153 students earned the seal, the highest total in recent years, and a steady increase from prior cohorts. Schools across the district contributed strongly. This achievement not only highlights students' language skills, but also their readiness to engage in a global society and workforce where bilingualism is a competitive advantage. And here's another area that we are so proud of. Dr. Smith and I believe that the graduation rate for DVUSD is at the highest level we've seen in our careers. And that's a long time, our careers. And while neither of us can say for certain if this is an all-time high, it certainly could very well be. The district's positive trend stands out, with Deer Valley's rate nearly 16% higher than the state average. These results reflect the strength of our high schools, the wide range of programs that engage and support our students, and the powerful relationships between teachers, administrators, and students that keep our learners connected and on track to graduate.
And again, a big thank you to our counselors for that as well.
Absolutely. Now we're going to just pop for a quick moment into some points of pride from our campuses. Aspire stands out as one of the top online schools in Arizona and the nation, recognized for academic excellence and innovative opportunities. Last year, students achieved notable successes, including publication in a local magazine, perfect scores on the AASA test, and completion of industry certifications. Aspire's top state and national rankings highlight its ability to deliver flexible, high-quality learning that also prepares students for college, career, and the life ahead. Boulder Creek High School has had a standout year in 24-25 with an Arizona Teacher of the Year, Emmett Burton, and students recognized as National Merit Scholars and Mandarin Speech Champions. The arts flourished with a successful showdown in the desert and the State Seal of Arts Proficiency, while athletics and activities shined as girls soccer earned DVUSD Team of the Year, and students led community service efforts that raised $10,000 for Make-A-Wish. Barry Goldwater High School celebrated 24-25 as an A-rated school with award-winning academics, arts, and signature programs, including culinary arts and IB. The BGHS marching band captured the Abota State Championship with a clean sweep of all caption awards, while athletics added state titles and student athlete signings. This year was further marked by staff recognition, and you heard one of those earlier this morning, Don Pace, Assistant Principal of the Year. a renovated giving closet, and the PAC program, reflecting a strong culture of community and student support. Deer Valley High School distinguished itself in 24-25 with rigorous gifted AP and dual enrollment programs, state-level athletic achievements including basketball, volleyball, and cross-country, thriving CTE pathways, and national recognition for its JROTC cadet, Reese Thompson's prestigious, really prestigious here, Air Force Flight Academy scholarship, and you can see right there what that was worth, $25,000. Mountain Ridge High School excelled in 24-25 as an A-plus school of excellence with national recognition for its biomedical science program, an amazing 4th consecutive state title for the Pride of the West Marching Band, and statewide distinction in athletics through NFHS and NJAAA honors, along with celebrated athletes and coaches. Sandra Day O'Connor High School stood out in 24-25 with 223 AP scholars and a Flynn Scholar among its students. Championship athletics, including, again, another one, 4th straight girls beach volleyball, the district-leading basketball, and rich student opportunities through the award-winning Fine Arts, Air Force JROTC, and O'Connor Institute Ambassadors Program. Deer Valley continues to celebrate record achievements, including one of the highest graduation rates in our history, expanding opportunities in AP, IB, dual enrollment, and CTE, and outstanding student successes in athletics, arts, and scholarships. At the same time, we recognize opportunities for growth, expanding IB diploma participation and exam success, increasing CTE certifications, and strengthening English learner proficiency. Together, these achievements and focus areas reflect both the progress we've made and our commitment to continuous improvement for every student. As I conclude, we celebrate not only what our high school students have achieved, but also the culture of excellence at our high schools that make those achievements possible. Looking ahead, our focus remains on creating even more opportunities, ensuring access for all children, and equipping every graduate with the skills and confidence to go to college, to enter a career, and be successful in life. Thank you for your continued support of our students and our schools very much.
Thank you, Dr. Galligan. Very impressive. Any comments from the board for Dr. Galligan? Steve?
I have a quick question.
Yes, Ms. Simichek.
Is there a link on our website for DVUSD where parents and community members can go and look at this information? I realize it's on the presentation tonight and linked through board docs, but just a link on the Deer Valley website itself.
President Carver, Ms. Simichek, at this moment we do not, but we can certainly get that posted and have it available for any family to review and look at and celebrate.
Exactly. That's exactly why I would love to have it on there so that our community can really see how amazing our schools are and how wonderful our high schools are achieving. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Simichek. Anyone else? Mr.
Yes.
Barfield? Yes.
I'd like to say one thing. Given that the nation's education system is failing, this is a positive result, and it's excellent. Thank you so much.
President Carver, Mr. Botfeld, we do not believe we're a failing district at all. We are fairly successful.
You are.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Botfeld. Anyone else? Dr. Finch?
I wanted to draw attention again to two things. You may never see this peak ever again. I've actually said that 3 years in a row, so talk to me next year. But two things that I talk about a lot, and I think this fits right here. You hear a lot about the word proficiency in the 3rd grade, 5th grade, 7th grade as they climb. Now remember, when you hear the word proficient, you think, done. If I'm proficient in Mandarin, I can speak it. Well, that when you're developing as a student, proficiency is an incorrect word when you're looking at state scores. They are a progress because the only test that counts is the ACT. That's the one at the end, and graduation is a cousin of that. So when you hear people talk about, well, the proficiency score in, 19 whatever or 2020 whatever, I think Mr. Carver and I talked about this earlier. You can't compare because they're different tests. The one test that is not different is the ACT because it is norm referenced, a norm reference criterion test every year against the nation. So that is the only one that you can compare over time. And so a lot of keyboard warriors grab different pieces of data to write their own narrative. But in the end, the one that counts is ACT. And if you look at our scores, this, I think you need to hit this again. To go up 0.8 is borderline miracle. 0.1 would be huge. We jumped 0.8, which is incredible. I'm positive no one in the state did that. Positive. I'll bet my whatever on it. Whatever you need, I bet you. And I bet you that you will not find another district that is holding these numbers. So it's a shout out to our staff, our administrators, our team that works together to bring this result about. And so just a reminder that proficiency is about growth, or proficiency is really about zip code, and growth is really about staff. How can you have a student continue to climb no matter where they're at? Because we always hear about this, the private school or the charter school, whatever, that has a X score when they handpick their students. You really want to know how they're doing? Look at their growth scores. That's a reflection of the staff. So that's a really good one to remember. And the ACT is the test that counts.
Thank you, Dr. Finch. Anyone else? Yes, Mrs. Fisher.
National average of students that take the ACT is 37%. What is Deer Valley's percentage?
I didn't hear.
President Carver, Ms. Fisher, all of our juniors take the ACT since it's the state accountability measure for us.
All, including special needs students, all of them take it?
It would be, Dr. Smith would probably know the exact percentage. There is probably a small number that have an exemption for the state test for some students with disabilities. But what would it be, Scott? 98.5%, 99? Yeah.
Thank you. I would just like to echo what Dr. Finch has said, in that I know that there's a lot of discussion going on out in the community with some of the asks that the district has going on right now, and a lot of people sometimes get hung up in how the sausage is made, I guess, is a term that's being used quite a bit nowadays. But at the end of the day, we need to look at the results that we're getting. And Dr. Finch was correct. When I first came on board, I grilled him when I graduated. Deer Valley High School proficiency scores were 82%, 85%. It took me a while to hear what it is that he was trying to say, but we're not using the same standardized testing anymore. So to try to draw a line between 85% back in the 80s and 54, 56% now 40, 50 years later, it's an apples to oranges sort of a thing. So I've come to accept that sometimes some of the ways that I look at things and the terminology that I grew up with doesn't really apply to some of the ways that things are done nowadays. That I agree with Dr. Finch that the term proficiency, I think, is misplaced when it comes to the state trying to describe what it is that we're doing with that test. So the ACT is where we need to focus. And when we're comparing those numbers to the state and to our sister districts that are around us, I think the community really needs to be excited about that, and they need to have pride in the fact that they've invested in this and they are returning on the investment. And yeah, if there's no further discussion, we'll move on to item 3B, student wellness. Dr. Galligan? Oh, how about we do? I'm sorry, I can't read. It must be Dr. Zerbach.
Okay, good evening again, President Carver, members of the board, Dr. Finch. This evening, I am pleased to be here with Mr. Galletti and Dr. McCusker to speak about some of the supports that we have in place for student wellness across our district. As far as a preview of what you will hear from us this evening, is you'll get some context for today's report, and that will be for our new board members and anyone who is new to joining us here today. Also, we will look at what is our current process in terms of facilitating the flow of support to a particular student. We also will talk about additional supports that are in place for immediate concerns that will then turn into supports that are in place for the long-term vision of our district. We'll give you some data as well and make some comparisons to nationwide data, and then we'll close with questions and any additional comments that we might have. Okay, so as I noted, to give us some context for this evening's board report, it was in my first year in 2018-19 that I sat here and we had a series of community dialogues particularly on the topic of student suicide under the umbrella of student wellness. And so throughout that year, we had experts that talked to us, and what came of that from those conversations was the creation and the refinement of various systems that are here and that have continued over the 7 years. And so you'll hear about those this evening.
Good evening, Governing Board. We are going to start today with an overview of the immediate response to a student who is exhibiting signs, excuse me, of self-harm or suicidal ideation. So it's important to point out that we have processes in place for both of these, as well as that is separate from our process for a threat of harm to others or a campus threat, which is a separate bucket with our process that we respond to. So in looking at students who are engaged in either self-injury, which would typically be non-suicidal, it would typically oftentimes cutting, we distinguish that from those students who exhibit suicidal ideation or signs of suicidal ideation. Our staff, and especially our counselors and our psychologists, are trained through processes through each of these pathways that students are struggling with. And we have a structured response to both of these situations where we have immediate supervision of the students. They're brought to the office or to counseling or to wellness for supervision and then a risk assessment using checklists, process maps, and flow charts that are district standard. And we then diagnose the situation and we engage in our campus crisis teams as well as parent communication and contact or guardian contact to notify them of these concerns immediately. And we take action based on the context of all is different, but our protocol is the same. And sometimes, especially in the case of students who are exhibiting suicidal ideations, we engage our community partners and our third-party crisis teams who sometimes come in and offer support. They offer intakes to facilities in some cases. In other cases, they work with the families when students go home, and they go with the student and the parents home to work through the situations and the immediate concerns. We also offer supports down the road for mental health support, behavioral health supports, and we have community partners that we'll speak to in a little bit that offer these supports that are consistent, again, across all our system K-12. Oh, if you can go back to that one more slide. Yeah, sorry. We also we have a process in place to document both the self-injury and the suicidal ideation. So if a student needs our support and exhibits any signs of either of these, We have documentation in place that follows the student in their profile and in our student information systems to make sure that if the student leaves the campus and goes to another campus, that the next campus team is aware that they've had this struggle in their past, so that there's extra monitoring and support and awareness across all. So again, that process is different and separate from our CSTAG threat assessment process when there is a harm to others or a harm to the campus. Yep. And some preventative supports for immediate concerns that are in place. First, we have ARS 15160 in 2021 mandated that all 9th through 12th grade students on their student ID, there is a crisis contact information available for them to contact or text in a state of emergency. So we are compliant with that through our high school students. Additionally, we have Safe Schools, parents, website information and supports, including Teen Lifeline and 988 on our websites that are obviously accessed 24/7. We also engage BARC as a third-party vendor to monitor for warning signs across our district devices and our student learner accounts that alert the campus and district Safe Schools office if there are students who are demonstrating signs of distress based on the Google suite of their learner account software. It scans and monitors for any sign of self-harm, bullying, harassment, suicidal ideations, drug or alcohol use that is then followed up with at the campus level and sometimes at the district level if the warning should be severe enough. And we also engage with Southwest Behavioral Wellness counselors and other community partners when we need to engage crisis teams, such as some that come to mind are Mind 24/7 and Touchstone Behavioral Health, that will send crisis teams out to the campus and to the home should the need exist.
And Dr. McCusker?
Okay.
Good evening, Governing Board, President Carver, Governing Board, Dr. Finch, and community. I am happy to speak specifically to school psychologists and how they contribute to overall campus wellness in Deer Valley Unified School District. I am the proud leader of our school psychologist team, and I can tell you what an amazing group of experts. I am also proud to report that many of our school psychologists have additional training, acute training, working with students who may experience trauma or traumatic events. As you can see as evidenced here, our school psychologists can provide immediate support to students who are experiencing dysregulation during the instructional school day. We do have school psychologists assigned to each specific campus in Deer Valley, and so their availability is there for staff and students. They are also able to provide crisis support alongside of our counselors. As well, they're able to teach specific life skill lessons, and that could incorporate direct lessons within the classroom setting. As well, they're able to run specific social skills groups. And so our school psychologists, because they are practitioners, they have to have informed consent from our parents before they engage in any type of social skill instruction specific to each student. And they are very clear about informed consent and follow that process concisely. They can also participate in calming strategies for our students that may be experiencing a crisis or a traumatic event on a school campus, and they can pull that student into their office for confidential counseling and also provide discreet guidance for parents and community members. They can also assist with behavior assessments and, of course, with the development of behavior intervention plans. And some of our students that may be experiencing behavioral crises, our psychologists are some of the best collaborators that collaborate alongside any district social workers, other school psychologists, our nurses, and of course our teachers and site administrators. Our school psychologists, as I mentioned earlier, have distinct training in acute trauma and the support. And so when we look at the PREPARE model, which our school psychologists have all been trained in the PREPARE model, when we look specifically at this, the acronym is really about preventing future events from occurring, reaffirming in the state of crisis to assure that the student and or person feels safe, evaluating the situation based upon their clinical training and expertise, and then of course providing and responding directly to the crisis with care and compassion. And then finally, they examine the situation to ascertain if in future situations something could have been done differently. And this training is research-based. It is a nationally based, research-based practicum and curriculum that our school psychologists participate in. As well, our school psychologists with their additional training, we have master's level school psychologists as well as doctoral and postdoctoral school psychologists. And so they are able to identify trauma signs, which could include suicidal ideation, as Mr. Galletti had already identified. They are also trained in stabilization for students, and of course, always assuring student safety. We can practice, again, because school psychologists, if they have informed consent, they can work directly alongside parents, families, and students to assure that they are assessing risks and providing a prompt response within the instructional day. On the right side, you can also see that our supports for our school psychologists can also include sharing resources with staff and families. This is something Deer Valley does very well. We partner very well with outside agencies as well as coexisting agencies that we have partnerships with. In the further presentation, I will discuss our partnership with Southwest Behavior Health and Services, and that has been a very productive relationship. Our school psychologists work alongside mental health clinicians to assess student behavior and really provide a prompt response to any type of need from trauma, stress, or behavioral need.
And I'll just echo one more time, Dr. McCusker, you said it and it's stated on the slide, but PREPARE is the recommended program by the Arizona Department of Education for us.
That is correct, Dr. Zurbach. Along with a partnership with the Arizona Department of Education, our Deer Valley Unified School District school psychologists participated in the Tier 2 or Step 2 workshop with the Arizona Department of Ed. Thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you.
Continuing on, I am also the proud leader of our school nurses. Our school nurses are often the first line of defense in Deer Valley Unified School District. They are medical practitioners, so they have an expertise that others in our domain in public education do not have. So our nurses provide not only wraparound care, but they provide direct patient care. And so our students that come into our health centers are treated with dignity and respect. And our nurses are aware of any coexisting, perhaps behavioral issues that the students may be experiencing, as well as mental health issues. So we are very respondent to those concerns. And as we are involved with community communication as well as parental communication, our nurses are often apprised of additional supports that can be provided directly in the health office or in concentration or in cohort with our school psychologists. So this is care coordination, and the medical world does this beautifully. And so what we've been able to borrow in Deer Valley Unified School District is really creating that wraparound care coordination, which includes our medical professionals, our nurses, as well as our school psychologists, our counselors, of course, site administrators, and any of our teachers that are involved in this process to assure that we don't skip a beat and we are able to provide direct and supportive care to a student that may be in crisis. Our direct care also includes screenings and referrals. Our nurses work directly with community agencies like Touchstone Behavioral Health and Southwest Behavioral Health and Services, as well as Mind 24/7, to assure that our students who are living in crisis or perhaps our disenfranchised student populations, our students who live in foster care or who have been recently removed from homes, also do not miss out on any much needed services. When we look at health education and promotion of that health education in classrooms, our nurses are in classrooms providing direct instruction to our students and also providing group support for students. We have a robust mental health support alongside our school nurses who work alongside our school counselors. And so when you look at the mental health support and the wellness centers that we have around our school district, I have evidence, some pictures here. You can see some of the wellness centers that our school counselors as well as our school nurses have set up. If a student is in crisis, it would be much better to come into a nurse's office and go to the wellness corner or the wellness center to actually calm down while the crisis is being directly attended to. And so many of our schools and many of our nurses' offices have built these wellness centers and wellness corners. When you go on your tours in the district, I invite you to check out some of our wellness corners in the district.
Thank you, Dr. McCusker. And our third group of stakeholders that have expertise in this area are our counselors. And Dr. McCusker has mentioned them already, but I do want to make sure we draw attention to the work that they do. In our district, we have really two types of counselors. We have our academic counselors, which are at the high schools and at our K-8 for the middle school grades. And then we have also a bucket of counselors that are through our school safety grant and a very small number of social workers. Even though the title for the first bucket is academic counselors, they still are very much involved when it's needed with crisis situations. And so they can be involved if needed with any protocols to do with suicide ideation or self-injury, and they certainly work collaboratively with other stakeholders, whether it be our Southwest Behavioral Wellness and Crisis Counselors or any of the agencies that Mr. Galletti mentioned earlier in the slides. And then the same for our school safety counselors, that they too will engage in any of that work that I mentioned above, and they continue to work with our students at a Tier 1 level, or when we say Tier 1, a universal level, so that all students are provided some support with this, and the same with the small number of social workers that we might have. Okay, here, Dr. Galligan provided some data for me. You can see that our Southwest behavioral counselors, wellness counselors that are with us, you can see that they are well used in our district. Here are some of the stats that you can see over the 3 years, and they have been a wonderful partner with us to help support our students when they are in need. Okay, Mr. Galletti.
So we spoke a little bit about the immediate need when a student is demonstrating that they're in crisis and needing immediate support. Now we're going to look a little bit at the long-term systemic supports that we have been working diligently on over the last few years. And the goal is that we continue to work on our systems and refine our prevention so that we are relying less on those students who are in crisis. So this is outlined in our strategic priority as excellence in student learning, ensuring we have a robust multi-tiered system of support in place for all of our students, and that we are teaching the student behaviors and that we are reinforcing the adult behaviors that will allow our students to thrive, feel connected to our campuses, to their peers, and that they have trusted adults on campus who they know they can confide in and trust in when they are struggling, having a rough time, or just need a little extra support. So we always view these services through the kind of the inverted pyramid that allows all students to have Tier 1 supports, where we are teaching and reinforcing expectations daily. We are using positive behavior intervention and supports to motivate all of our students. And then those students, typically there are 3 to 5% of students who need a little additional support, need a more individualized and group plans for support in both academics and in this case in behavior, that they are getting skill reinforcement, they're getting additional supports throughout the school day. And then we also have students who we mentioned earlier who are exhibiting signs of crisis and who need much more intensive supports, one-on-one plans, and oftentimes additional agencies and wraparound supports both on campus and across our system as well and in our community. So we are consistently and constantly throughout our system working on all three tiers of this behavior pyramid. We also have our staff trained as of ARS 15120, the Mitch Warnock Act. We are required every 3 years that any staff that works with 6th through 12th grade students is refreshed and trained and through one of the ADE mandated suicide awareness programs. In Deer Valley, we use the Society for the Prevention of Teen Suicide module, which all 6 through 12 staff are required to take every 3 years.
And I would just add for us as well, one particular group that we did not explicitly mention in a slide, but does have a relation to our Tier 1 support along with our counselors and the school safety grant would be our school resource officers or our school safety officers. As you know, if you go back 3 years ago and prior to that, we did have a limited number of officers that were on our campuses. You do know now, though, that over the years we have built that with the various grants that have been available. And I believe we have, Mr. Galletti, with 22 around there? Around 22 officers. And when we get to the Tier 1 level, they do law-related education. And so there are pieces to that they can help with in terms of the information that they get to students and also being a trusted community member that the students can go to when they're on the campuses.
I would add as well that our efforts through PBIS and creating positive learning environments are recognized. I believe we spoke earlier this year about the model schools and the PBIS awards, the Tier 1, 2, and 3 model schools. I think we have about a dozen Deer Valley schools this year that have been recognized at the state level for their work on PBIS. So this also speaks to some of the accountability and the monitoring our staff does at the campus and the district level with work around our MTSSB goals and the monitoring through our behavior integration assessment. Again, this speaks back to the systems piece that we are continually refining and improving. And the idea is that all adults are responsible for behavior and for monitoring for any signs of distress for students across our system. It's all of our jobs to be alert, and we track this through many metrics, 3 of which you see up there on the screen. We're in our 3rd year for all 3 of these, is tracking our perceptual student data around sense of belonging and school climate, in addition to other indicators, but for these in particular, these are district goals and campus goals for all of us, where we are looking to see these are great systems, but are they impacting students, and is the data showing that the work is landing with students? And we have been fortunate that we are going to get through some of the responses compared to national averages in a few slides, that the outlook is positive and that our students are responding. We are also have a special emphasis on ensuring that students are engaged in attending school and that are on track for attendance, meaning they are on track for attendance, meaning they're at school 90% or more of their days in session. Because we know when, especially our school-dependent students, that oftentimes school is the safest and most stable place for them to be, and they're safe with adults that care with them. We have awareness pieces throughout our high school health curriculum. We're monitoring our student connectedness through many metrics. And then we also engage in outside third-party supports and community partners, including work that we've done with Katie McPherson throughout the years, who is currently piloting a Connected Communities program for our 4th and 5th grade students at 2 pilot schools this year, which may expand starting at Legend Springs and Stetson Hills this year. We always have a cohort of schools who are attending the Speak Up, Stand Up, Save a Life conference, which is coming up shortly. It's the 8th annual conference. And we have wellness centers across many of our campuses, including very robust wellness centers at all of our high schools currently. Which gets us to looking at the perceptual data. Again, the work is great, but if our students aren't responding, we have more work to do. And the good news is that when we look at national trends, we know that perceptual data, attendance, behavior have all spiked, and nationally, these indicators have decreased since COVID, since the pandemic. And we are very proud of the work our staff has done at every level, from our classified to our administrative staff and everyone in between, on making sure our students feel like they belong in Deer Valley at their campus. So when we look at some of the national trends you see in front of you today, as of 2023, nationally, only 55% of high school across the U.S. Indicated that they felt close to people at schools. Within Deer Valley, our data says, and this is as of the spring of last year, our administration of the student survey, that for our 6th through 12th graders, a little over 3/4 felt that they had a positive sense of belonging on their campus. When we look at our emotional regulation, again, we see a couple data indicators there. In Arizona, in 2021, 4 in 10 high schools reported that they had poor mental health. And across the U.S., on the Youth Risk Behavior Survey, 42% of high schoolers felt sad or hopeless, and so much that it stopped their usual routines and activities as of their 2021 administration. We are again proud to report that in Deer Valley, as of last spring, 84% of our 6th through 12th grade students had a favorable response on their ability to positively regulate their emotions. And when we look at chronic absenteeism, this again has been a national story since COVID. Fighting the absenteeism and truancy epidemic has been a challenge across the country and statewide. So the U.S. average was 26% of students are chronically absent, and in Arizona, that number is 25%. And clearly, if students aren't on campus, they're not learning, they're not engaged, and there are weaker academic and behavior outcomes. And for this, chronically absent means, in our context, that they are absent 10% or more of the school days in session. So in Deer Valley, currently, we have a 14% chronic absenteeism rate, which is about half the national average and well below the state level, which is great. There is still work to do. It's a focus of us this year is to lower that rate even further and make sure that as many of our kids are in our schools every day, so that we have eyes on and that we are a stable grounding factor for them. Our student data also presents that 76% of students feel that like they belong on their campus. And again, when students feel a sense of belonging and they're attached to their campus, they're much more likely to attend and want to be at school.
Thank you, Tony. Okay, that brings us to this last slide, and I would end with perhaps a couple of thoughts for the board and the community. The first one is that this is a tough conversation. So student supports, student wellness, specifically through the lens of youth suicide, it is a terribly sad topic. And even when all of these supports are in place and the systems that refine, I do recognize that it's not to say we have jaded glasses on, that it happens. And so it's a challenging topic. What I did want to make sure I brought to the attention is that we had the public comment at our last board meeting, is that this topic is not a new topic for us. This is something that we take very seriously, that all of our stakeholders take very seriously, because it is a matter of life and death when we talk about this. And so the systems work that we do and that we strive to refine is something that's very important and dear to us. And so with that, I will give it to the board for any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Zerbach. And to your point, I just want to make sure that the board understands that this presentation tonight is a direct reflection of the request that the board made to have more information about this and to understand what the district is doing to assist our children in need. Comments from the board? Mr. Botfeld. Hold on one second, Ms. Simichek. Mr. Botfeld.
Well, go ahead, Ms. Simichek. Let her go first.
Ms. Simichek, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I first of all, I want to thank you for honoring the request and putting this together. It's really important, and I appreciate that. I do have a lot of questions and concerns, kind of from but that I pulled as I listened to the report, so I might jump around a little bit. But I want to also say that our school psychologists and our social workers and our nurses are absolutely amazing. And my thought when I had Kid in the Corner come for the comments and also to kind of move this forward a little bit and push it forward was because I wanted to acknowledge that, this is a national crisis, and where I see that these wonderful processes are in place, a lot of what I see is a lot of response, for responding versus prevention. And I think that when we're talking about high schoolers and having the experience of having a child who just experienced 4 years of high school and what they're going through right now, I often think that it's so important to have this peer-to-peer relationship and the support of preventing something like this. And I hear from the presentation that there are, some programs in place, but I'm going to be 100% honest in that, I've been a teacher. I've been on school campuses. I've substituted for years in our campuses, and I've been in the nurses situation. And, there are days where it's just crazy, and you can't make up some of the stuff that goes on. I mean, nobody really knows truly what it's like to be a teacher or a psychologist or a principal or a nurse until they're living that experience on a day-to-day basis. So it's important that and it's hard, but you got to step back and put yourself in those shoes. And when, Johnny has fallen on the playground and cut his knee, and the nurse, he's on his way there, and maybe someone is throwing up in kindergarten. There's so many things all going on at once. And it's to put that on our nurses or to put that on a handful of people is not necessarily realistic. And what is inspiring to me about the program of Kid in the Corner or something along those lines, even if it's not that program, but it's something that can come in. It's no cost to the district. Parents can opt in to do it. And it's a program that allows peers to communicate with one another, to have these tips, have this training, have the resources, so that when we lose a student, which is it's the absolute worst part about being on the school board, is that notification that we lost a child. It is absolutely the worst. And to me, it's just one child too many. And we often hear from parents, and we did hear this from the parent a couple of weeks ago, that her son exhibited 0 signs of suicide. And it happened. And so then all of a sudden we go to this response, and we have all these wonderful things in place for response. By no means am I trying to downplay that, but they are not prevention, and they're not allowing students to work together and build those community relationships. We're so focused oftentimes on the academics of everything, and everything is moving at such a fast pace. And I'm not making this up. These are conversations I've had with young adults over the last few years. And so my question becomes, and my concern becomes, what kind of strong programs are we implementing in the 6 through 12 grade levels that is more of a prevention, not just arming our teachers with the signs? Because, like I said, the signs are not always there. Many students who have committed suicide show 0 signs whatsoever of going to take that awful step to actually do it. And my concern, and what I really want to focus on at the district, is getting something in place for our 6 to 12 graders that supports them within their own communities, and not necessarily just the adults coming in saying, this is what you do. It's students working together, being together, talking it out together. with all the social media and all the crazy. And I also want to point out, like, Katie from McPherson is absolutely wonderful. I've watched her presentations. I've been to her. And I think she does a wonderful job. And I'm curious how she was able to get into our schools so that she could do these amazing presentations and programs. How can we get a program in our school that will help our students directly as students in prevention, not responding, and to just really deal with this national crisis? On that student perception data slide, it said Arizona in 21, nearly 4 in 10 high schoolers reported poor mental health. And then in the DVUSD context, 84% of grades 6 through 12 in the spring of 24 reported positive emotional regulation. Those are those the same measurements? I mean, when we're saying emotional regulation, are we saying as in reported poor mental health? Because to me, those are two different things. And while we're looking at, that's great at 84% for DVUSD. 4 in 10 high schoolers in 21 is way too many. That's a national crisis. And 21 came after COVID. And we all know we're still recovering from COVID. Our kids are not well that way. And they are glued to their phones, and they're growing up in environments where their parents are glued to their phones, and they have nobody to talk to and express anything to. And so I'm so grateful for the presentation. I want to make that very, very clear. But I also want to see what ways can we explore to get a prevention program in place that will relate to our students of these grade levels. And again, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Simichek. Anyone else?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Dr. Zurbach, you want to respond?
Sure.
Okay.
President Carver, Ms. Simichek, thank you for those comments. There were a few points that you made in there, so I'll respond, perhaps not in sequential order, but I think I'll hit most of those that you have. First of all, I would wholeheartedly agree with you that when we lose a student, that is the hardest communication. I'm the one that writes that to you, and I feel the same level that you are talking about in terms of how hard that is to do. I think that I may disagree a bit in terms of how we define prevention and the immediate pieces. I think with our systems, the ultimate goal for us is to have an environment where every child has a kind, caring adult, right, that's in the building and also has a friend or friends that particular student can turn to, talk to, etc., and then also have that emotional regulation that we talked about. And I think over the long haul with the MTSS systems, that is what we're trying to do and continually reinforcing and refining as we move forward. The data pieces that you mentioned, you are correct. There's not 100% overlap with those pieces. The questions that we ask come through our panorama tool, and so there's not going to be one-to-one, but there certainly is overlap, but it would not be 100% overlap with that. And I think lastly, I would say with respect to a program like Kid in the Corner that I agree that there are attractive characteristics to programs like that. I did meet with the gentleman, Ms. Simichek, who came to speak and learn more about what the program offers. And so without saying yes or no to something like that, I would say at this point that yes, I think there were some pieces that were potentially attracted to that and worth looking into. And so over time, we would look to see how that would fit within the system rather than just be a one-off piece. And that's what I explained to the gentleman, is that for me, I would want to see what can be embedded and sustained versus, again, just a one-time thing that leaves. And so I told the gentleman that I would be in touch with him over the next few months as I had some more time to look through it and understand the material at a deeper level.
Thank you, Dr. Zurbach. Mr. Botfield, you had something? I'm sorry. Ms. Simichek, did you say?
I just wanted to say thank you to Dr. Zurbach.
Okay, sorry about that. Mr. Botfield.
Let me echo what Stephanie just said. Thank you. And I have an odd request. Can I get copies of both the PowerPoints tomorrow, please? I have to make a speech on Thursday, and this will help.
Sure, yes.
And I'll give you a email address to send it to.
Sheila send it to you.
Sheila, in that case, send this over to Sheila.
Any other comments for Dr. Zurbach on this topic?
I had a question.
Dr. Pack.
You referenced, and I'm not sure which one of you referenced, there's a lot of information there, the BARC third-party vendor. How long has the district had that in place?
President Carver, Dr. Pack, I'm going to say, I believe 2019 is when we started with BARC.
And is that an annual subscription software that we purchase?
Yes, it is.
And then, Dr. McCusker, the nursing folks that do such a great job, is there software attached to the nurses and all the work they do?
Microphone trouble, sorry. Mr. Carver, Dr. Pack, thank you for the question. Our nurses use different software for different approaches. We have what's called SNAP. And so they do medical charting as they are medical professionals. So they utilize SNAP, and it does correlate and actually speak to other infrastructure that we have in the district. But there is old school charting that they actually, when they're providing direct care, they are doing charting and they keep very clear notes so they can follow up with other professionals. So yes, we utilize SNAP as well as other things.
And how long has the district had SNAP up and running?
Dr. Pack, I believe we have had SNAP. It went through a reformation. It had a makeover. So it was revised. I would say SNAP, as it is now, has been functioning for the past 4 years in our district.
And is there an annual subscription for that program?
There is. It's nominal. We have a very good partnership after it went through its revision. And we do pay a fee for SNAP. But again, it collaborates well with other infrastructure, so it is very beneficial.
Okay, then one final question. Our psychologists, do they have an additional non-instructional software that they use?
Excellent question, Dr. Pack. Our school psychologists have multiple formats for software that they utilize when working with students who are in crisis or students who are or are not students with disabilities. So first and foremost, they are a part of Panorama. They interact with Panorama often because we are collaborating along with other district leaders and school teams. They also utilize EIEP Pro, which is a standalone software system. It's a repository of information where our district IEPs, psychoeducational evaluations, and Section 504 plans live and reside. They also participate in an online digital platform for evaluations and protocols. And so that platform, because it is revised often by the psychometrics that are out in the universe, and there are many organizations like Pearson, for example, when they update evaluations and assessments and norm them, we have to participate with those newly revised evaluations. So they also participate in that platform. So they live in many worlds.
And those software platforms, like for the IEPs and evaluations, do those have annual subscriptions?
Yes, they do.
Okay, thank you.
I just would like to point out to the sense of belonging metric that you displayed that you can see it when you're on the campuses, even if you go to the extracurricular activities, the football games, the volleyball games, badminton, soccer, any of the extracurriculars that we have, the arts, the level of engagement that we currently have with the community and our student body is like nothing that I've seen. And it's, Deer Valley Unified is never going to be exempt from the horror that we're discussing tonight. But I think that the steps that we're taking and the numbers that you're able to show our comparison to state and national speaks volumes to the efforts that we're making to try to make sure that everybody does feel like they belong. I'm sure that all of us in this room can agree that regardless if it's somebody developing a bad attitude or somebody living in darkness, it all boils down to feeling like they belong. That's all human beings want. Sometimes at our core is just to feel like we belong. And I think that the effort that's being put forward by the administration is admirable to make sure that we do the best that we can, because we'll never be 100%. But I want to thank you for the information that you've shared tonight and the efforts that are being put forward. I really do appreciate it, and I'm sure the community does as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Nope. Okay, moving on to item 3C. Ms. Mock, the long-awaited. Nope.
Hey, now number 1 is working. All right. Good evening, President Carver, members of the board, and guests. Being the first meeting in September, this is when we traditionally bring back our financial reports for the school year. And we will start with the M&O budget report. Since August was really the first full month of the school year, this includes transactions from July and August, but we are not far enough into the school year yet to really know where we're going to stand at the end of the year as far as the budget. And we are being cautious for the school year, not knowing how the rest of the year and enrollment will shake out. In addition, we do have the student activities and the auxiliary reports. I know last year these were not presented until October, but we are presenting not just July and August, but June as well. And so you will have 3 individual reports, 1 for student activities, 3 for student activities, and 3 for auxiliary, 1 for the month of June, July, and August. And I will take any questions about any of the financial reports.
Any questions for Ms. Mock from the board on this topic?
Just one.
Mrs. Fisher.
The enrollment report that we received shows we're down 3.4%. At what point are you, I mean, I know the 100 days are our day. Are you taking into account the continued loss each year into budgetary, and when do you work on nailing that down a little bit?
President Carver, Mrs. Fisher, yes, we are taking that into account. Typically, we will see that finalized a little bit more by reports from the Arizona Department of Education in October. Between October and November is when a report called the Budge 25 comes out, and for any district where their adopted budget is more than 1%, has a discrepancy of 1% or more from adopted, the state would require a budget revision at that time. But we complete this report every month, and we're going to look at it every month, and we will continue to compare that to enrollment. Even though it's based off of the 100th day, ADE helps us project very accurately what that 100th day will be as we go along.
Anything further from Ms. Mock? Thank you, Ms. Mock. We appreciate your time. Moving on to item 4, Dr. Pack.
I move that the governing board approve consent agenda items 4A through 4S.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed?
Sheila, just register a no vote. I'm not going to argue, just no vote. I'm not abstaining. I'm not going to argue though.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Next item on the agenda is item 5A. Dr. Pack.
I move that the governing board approves all employee out-of-state travel for professional development per governing board policy GCCE.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mrs. Fisher. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Item 5B, Dr. Pack.
Say that again.
5B? Bravo.
I heard D. I move that the governing board approve superintendent and board members who request to attend the National School Board Conference in San Antonio, Texas, 10th through 12th, 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mrs. Fisher. Any discussion?
I just have a comment.
Yes.
When the last board meeting, I was asking about teachers going out of state and spending money for staff to go out of state. As a board member, I would question whether I would go out of state given the current situation, wondering if the override's going to pass. So while I'm supportive of us going out of state and learning, because I've learned so much of these conferences, I would just reserve my own decision whether to go out of state, to not spend money out of state if we don't have that extra money out of state. But other than that, these are great trainings. I've learned a lot.
Thank you, Dr. Pack. Anyone else on this topic?
No, I just want to clarify for Dr. Pack. I am glad it's being brought forward now rather than in January, because the rates are significantly less if we make the decision ahead of time. I would like to see, if we are going to do this, that we start making a better team effort to break apart the classes. At the law conference, we were very mindful to break apart what classes each one of us went to so that we could share with one another what those classes had and what they said. It's something we always did historically that has not happened in the last 6 years. And I really just think that's important. If we're going to do it, it's got to be meaningful because funds are tight. So that's just my opinion.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher, for that clarification. Good point about traveling, booking early. As teachers, when we go to conferences, we divide and conquer. You go to that one, I'll go to this one, even though it's more fun to sit with your teacher friend. But you go to that one, I'll go to this one, and let's share information. And to some extent, Ms. Fisher and Mr. Botfeld and I did that at the conferences. I couldn't decide between two, so like, you go to that one, I'll go to that one. And then we did chat a little bit at lunch, but it would be nice to have all of our board members there, be able to do that. Thank you.
Any other discussion? The only thing that I would like to point out, more for the community's benefit, and if the board finds any benefit in it, this is fine, but this item is on the agenda at the request of Mrs. Fisher and Mrs. Simicek. And my only concern about the NSBA conference this time, and I'll circle back on this, but after going last time, there was a little bit of pushback from some folks in the community, and some not in our community, but those that want to have a voice, as everybody should, that were concerned about we were spending dollars with an organization that had during the COVID years labeled some parents loosely as terrorists and sought security from the federal government from parents. That is a tragedy in and of itself. And not long after they issued that letter in 2021, the NSBA did issue an apology letter, but that seems to have escaped some folks when it comes to this sort of a thing. So I just want the board to be aware that some folks in the community thought that it was a misappropriation of funds to support an organization like that, but to the NSBA's defense, they did issue an apology on that statement. So that being said, any further discussion? Yes, Mrs. Fisher.
To that point, I want to note for the community, because that was my concern. The first year that we went back, when Miss Ordway, Miss O'Brien, and myself went in 2017, we took a lot of classes that were extremely helpful, even topics that weren't necessarily popular among the average public school district. There were topics even to the extent of backpack funding, things like that. We did find it very, very useful. It was very beneficial. And so the year that we went back, I am weird. I do take these conferences very serious. I went to, they kind of have like it's like an extra meeting with all the national school districts, and they get together and they meet by their area, similar to like what the county does for ASBA. So I did attend that meeting, and I try to attend it each time. And that was a very heavy topic in that meeting. That the conversation was very much that the comment was made in a one-off initially, and then it got somewhat out of hand. It was pointed out that majority of the individuals do not share that feeling that our parents are terrorists. They do feel that our parents are supposed to be partners. Out of anybody in the school district world, it should be your board members that consider their parents partners, because that is who we work for. We don't represent the district, we do represent the parents in the district, the community in the district. And so they pointed that out. They also pointed out that there was a significant backlash, and that they were very punished by that comment. And the topic was very much warning that we need to be more mindful about what we're saying and what we're doing, and make these meetings meaningful. And that's the reason I do support going to these trainings. Additionally, because whether you're working in a school district or on the school board, I guarantee nobody has a clue what you're actually doing, other than other people that are doing the same task. And even then, only maybe a third will be on the same page as you, or even understand what you do. You know, your first year, your first term, you're very excited and very convinced that others know everything. And your second term, you kind of get a wake-up call. And third term, you just kind of get like, okay, I'm going to go with the flow. I'm going to go with what I know, and I'm not going to worry about what people say. And NSBA really gives a foundation that's nationwide, and you see the problems that are nationwide. So for the community, NSBA did in fact learn their lesson.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Okay, next item on the agenda, item 5C, Dr. Pack.
I move that the governing board accept the administration's recommendation to pre-approve the addenda as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Yes, Mrs. Fisher.
I know that people don't really always understand when I look at the funds and why I don't support certain things. And they're going to look and see that there is an 850 on here, at least two. I will clarify for you the reason I am going to support it this time is these subjects specifically are direct impact, STUGO advisor, things of that nature, which are part of student activities. And so that's the reason I don't feel that the kids are being forced. There is a true benefit directly for them for that, and we wouldn't have it otherwise.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Item 5D, Dr. Pack. D is in Delta.
I move that the governing board accept the administration's recommendation to adopt revision number 1 to the 2025-26 expenditure budget.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Simichek. Ms. Mock, anything to add?
President Carver, members of the board and guests, nothing has changed since the public hearing, but I would like to acknowledge our Director of Finance, who is here with us in the audience this evening, Megan Quayle, and thank her for moving our budget information from last year's forms to the adopted forms. This will be her first for us and first adoption, and I know we will challenge her more in the future, but she certainly will rise to that challenge.
Thank you, Ms. Mock. Any questions for Ms. Mock on this topic? Mrs. Fisher.
I'm going to clarify just for the two of you because you're new in the roles. I know you're definitely not new. I'm new in those roles. My vote does not reflect your work. It reflects that I did not vote for the prior budget. I don't, that whole, we got to vote for the bill to know what's in it. I don't feel that we truly adequately knew what was in this when it went through. We didn't have adequate conversation, and so my vote is not reflective of you or that I don't trust you. I do. It is just that I can't in good conscience vote when I don't know what's in it. So it's the detail that for me is concerning. And since I didn't vote on the last one, and it really is just a form change, but that form is a pain in the buns, so congratulations on getting through it.
Any further discussion for Ms. Mock? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 And those opposed? Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Item 5E, Dr. Pack.
I move that the governing board accept the administration's recommendation to approve the School Facility Oversight Board, SFOB, FY26 capital plan.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Simichek. Ms. Mock.
President Carver, members of the board, and guests, this is another annual requirement that is more of a formality than anything else for us. The School Facilities Oversight Board, School Facilities Division does require several reports annually, including the capital plan. I want to make sure for those listening or those who are in the audience that might be used to at the school level, capital being supplies, such as technology or equipment, things like that. This plan specifically is more of a building type of plan. And so it's been decades since Deer Valley Unified School District has qualified for any School Facilities Oversight Board or SFD funded schools. And with our long-term planning, we look out with this report at least 10 years in the future. We do hope to build 2 schools in the future, but it probably would still be another 8 to 10 years or more depending on growth before we would qualify. However, we have all of that information in the plan. It does require board approval, and with your approval, we will submit it to the School Facilities Oversight Board.
Thank you, Ms. Mock. Any questions for Ms. Mock on this topic? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Item 5F, Dr. Pack.
So nice when the computer works. I move that the governing board approve September 2025 to be recognized as Attendance Awareness Month.
Second.
Dr. Zerbach.
Thank you, President Carver, members of the board, and Dr. Finch. As you know, this year, we referenced it earlier today in our presentation as well, that attendance is definitely an area that we are working to raise awareness for in our community and the importance of attendance. Our messaging this year is every day counts, and perhaps you've seen that when you've been out at our schools. It's posted in various areas and in many of our social media communications and our email communications to our parents. This month happens to be National Attendance Month, and we had a small group of stakeholders that attended the attendance conference for the state, and one of the pieces that they took away was this particular proclamation that governing boards can proclaim for their communities, proclaiming the importance of attendance and for the month of September. And so with that, it is there for you, President Carver, to possibly, it is long, so I'm not sure exactly how you'd like to do it, perhaps maybe reading a section of it, but we would like that proclamation to be a piece of our district.
No, you get it all. So I'll read this to the board before we have discussion so we'll know what we're discussing. Deer Valley Unified School District Governing Board Proclamation, whereas chronic absence may be the biggest barrier to improving education in our country, making good attendance crucial to nurturing an educated and healthy next generation with the skills needed for a strong economy. Whereas students and families are more likely to show up and engage when there are positive conditions for learning at school, including physical and emotional health and safety, a sense of belonging, connection and support, academic challenges and engagement, and adults and peers with social emotional competency. Whereas reducing chronic absence, missing 10% or more of school for any reason, requires a comprehensive approach that starts with prevention and early intervention, including developing routines and trusting relationships that create a sense of belonging rather than responding with punitive action, which research finds is not particularly effective. Whereas improving attendance and engagement takes schools, families, elected leaders, and other community partners working together to rebuild regular and trusting communications and to identify and address barriers to being in school. Whereas taking attendance daily in a caring, consistent manner is essential to identifying when students begin to miss too much school and for noticing as soon as possible when students are starting to miss too much school and engaging students and families with needed supports and resources. Whereas supporting the health and well-being of the school community and sending the message that students should avoid missing school for minor symptoms of illness is essential to reestablishing daily attendance routines. Now therefore, I, Paul A. Carver, Jr., Governing Board President of the Deer Valley Unified School Board, do hereby proclaim the 9th of September 2025, that September 2025 will be celebrated as Attendance Awareness Month. We hereby commit to focusing on reducing absenteeism and addressing the factors that cause students to miss school in order to ensure all children in an opportunity to learn, grow, and thrive academically, emotionally, and socially. We recognize that we must work together to build an engaging school environment that motivates attendance and sends the message that learning matters. Any discussion for Dr. Zurbach on this proclamation? Dr. Pack? Nope. Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
And President Carver, if I may, Ms. Taylor has our Everyday Counts signage, and she has one for each of the board members here to see what's going out to our families. And thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ms. Taylor. It's a magnet. Next item on the agenda, item 6A. Dr. Finch.
Just a reminder that your sticker there sticks to your refrigerator.
Thank you.
So the QR code's on there just to record your attendance. As usual, as you know, ASBA is going through all of their policies, and right now we're working on the B section. This is anticlimactic as well. They did have some changes, but most of them are obviously from the legislature. Most of them are semantic changes or structural rearrangements. So I'll be, as a reminder, we have preview today, and then we have 2 weeks to notify Mr. Carver or myself or Ms. Sheila if you have any questions on them. Remember, these are already procured, are already organized and adjudicated by the ASBA lawyers, and if we change anything to them, we need to send them to our lawyers. So that's the process here. So if you have any questions over the next couple weeks, let me know, and we'll go look stuff up for you. The first one is policy BDD, Board Superintendent Relationship. This document had some minor changes, just mainly adding some subheadings and making it more structurally pretty. They did do some clarity under superintendent responsibilities, but just more of a phrasing rearrangement. So it's the same policy, just upgraded. Any questions from the ASBA recommendation? Moving on to BDE, same here. This is board committees. This has been edited with language previously in BDF. And then they're going to actually remove BDF from the machine, so they're combining them from those two into from section B. And so the only additional correction or update was to add the notice about agendas and the 24-hour open meeting law requirement per statute. So they combined two, and but they were both already previously approved by us, but they put it into one BDE. board committees. Any questions about that policy? No question, Ms. Fisher?
Where is it in law that the superintendent can authorize personnel to contact attorneys?
Where is it?
That's the next one.
That's the next
Was that the
one.
next one?
That's the next one.
Okay.
Any more
That's the-
questions
that's
on
the-
BDE? Okay, moving on to BGG, school attorney, to Ms. Fisher's point. This one is just to add subheadings so it's easier to read and align it with state statute and clarify the process for obtaining legal advice. Again, this is ASBA's wording. To Mrs. Fisher's question, the if a staff member cannot call our attorney without my approval, that would be that's to make sure that we have control over the cost of it. So, but it actually happens a lot. Dr. Z, Dr. G, actually my cabinet, they come to me when they have a question and they say, Melissa, particularly Dr. McCusker with special needs, they check in and say, here's the issue, here's what I think. Most of the time, they already know what to do, but we always check and double check with our attorneys to make sure we're on the right page. So that's where you're getting that concept of approval from the superintendent for a staff member to call our attorney. Any other questions on that? Good question. Policy GCQF will be done by
1 second, Dr. Finch.
Zerbe. Yep, question?
1 second. I'm sorry, Ms. Fisher, do you still have something?
Well, on both of these, the last two policies, I have concerns on both. We should be discussing some of these things because they're just not even, they don't make sense, for one. On the current one, where we're talking about legal, I remain concerned that the board is no longer informed about legal at all. We don't know what our billing is. We're told a lot of numbers. We never see what lawsuits are there. We never see any of this information. And as the board is aware, we are the ones that are named in these lawsuits and whatnot. So I do have concerns that the board is being kept in the dark about a lot of this, and I'm concerned that that's not in the policy. And in the prior policy, the board president, whoever it is at the time, is being granted additional authority beyond what the board has put in policy, so that policy is adding additional authority. There's a lot in these that are not being talked about, not being considered. So I'm just saying, I do believe that we should discuss them to a greater extent as a board, rather than just pushing them through here and then pushing them through consent. Now, I am well aware that it is a vote I would lose, as three are set, but I'm just putting caution that these are significant changes, and significant changes to actual process and the actual duties of a governing board. I did express that concern at ASBA, that you're told as a governing board member that one of your primary duties is to adopt policy. But we don't discuss it. ASBA dictates it. We get it read to us real fast. It's put on consent and it's pushed through. To me, that's concerning. So that's my spill on these two.
Okay, so Dr. Finch, if I can jump in here right now, let's go back to BDE. We'll break this down because that's what this presentation is for. That's the point that we've been trying to get across for the last several months, is just that when this comes up right here, we can break this down line by line, red line by red line, cross out by cross out. Dr. Finch, I'm happy to take the lead on reading this if you want, or if you
Go for it.
Okay, so we're in BDE. The red underlined is what's new. Anything that's crossed out is what's being deleted. And those are the only changes being discussed. So the little C that's next to BDE, for those of you that don't know, means that this is a copyrighted policy, which means it's ASBA's policy, right? So this is something that they've already went over and gone through. It doesn't mean that we need to accept it, but we do need to understand when we go into it that their lawyers and legal team have already looked at it. So if we change it, we do need to get some other legal advice to make sure that we haven't changed it beyond the legal scope of what it was. So The first change is for advisory committees, so this one's going to be addressing committees, right? The board may, by majority vote, appoint ad hoc committees when deemed advisable. Recommendations of such committees cannot be binding on the board. They may be advisory only. These committees will be responsible for presenting to the board recommendations for action based on research and facts. Any such committee shall automatically be dissolved upon completion of its assignment. Questions, comments, or concerns about that paragraph? Dr. Pack.
Can you give me an example of an advisory committee?
So well, we kind of have them right now, but the superintendent assigns them, right? So what this is giving us is the opportunity to do it. So you want to know something, and we want to know it with our own group or with some makeup that we think that would be more advantageous for the board to have information for, then we would say, we want to create a committee of 25 people from the community to review, discuss, and inform us on X, whatever X is, right? I mean, we've got curriculum committees, we've got NST committees. If there's something outside of those committees that we think that we need some research on, this is giving us the authority now to create our own committees and not asking the superintendent to do so.
With a majority vote.
With a majority vote, yes.
We've always had that.
Okay,
We've always had that ability to have advisory committees. They're rare that you do them for several reasons. One, it is a superintendent advisory committee. When they establish it, open meeting laws don't always apply the same. There's certain regulations that are not put on them. When it's a board advisory committee, like if we had a major issue and we wanted a study committee within the community, like, I don't know, okay, let's just take Phoenix Union. Okay, they had a school shooting or a school stabbing, which they had a shooting 10 years ago. They want to know what the community believes to that topic. They say, we need a community committee of 40 people, and we want them to provide the report directly to us. We are the board. We could establish that. Now they are, by law, an extension of us. When they have their meetings, when they establish, they are bound by the same laws, and then the reporting. And that this kind of still holds that, but where it takes out is the collaboration. And that's why I say when I say, I pretty much everybody who gets this can read it. Where the study session on topics like this comes into play is, you know, as I read it, and I read it before, but as I read it and I look at it, I start thinking, okay, well, if you're going to add paragraph 3, and specifically that the board president's going to do these things, then we now have to modify a previous policy, which dictates what the board president's duties are. And so that's my concern when we look at these. I'm not expecting us to go line by line and read it to the community, because they can read. They can, well, most of them. I mean, I'm sure there's some that cannot, but they'll have someone help them. That's where we need to start cross-referencing some of this and look at it, and what do we want as our establishment. In prior policies such as this, we were collaborative in how we wrote it. We've worked together in the past, which is something that we no longer do. It's an individual, and it is, even if this board changes, if we put it in policy, it's not going to change. It's not the person.
Mrs. Fisher, I'm not trying to cut you off, but I'm asking about pros and cons in that first paragraph so that we can actually discuss the proposal here and not rehash the way things have been going or how you'd like for them to go, but
I'm not rehashing
the specific policy. Yeah. So moving on, just to address something that Mrs. Fisher said, this particular policy isn't deleting anything. There are no crossouts in this change. So this is just an addition. As Dr. Finch mentioned, they're taking BDF and rolling it into BDE. Now, I have not taken the time to pull BDF up and compare it identically to see if they just copied and pasted, but that's what it's okay. So BDF is in board docs, and they're taking BDF, they're copying and they're pasting and adding it into BDE. Okay, so everything that is in BDE currently exists in BDF. We're sandwiching the two together. As has been mentioned in previous meetings, ASBA is trying to streamline the policy manual. and maybe get rid of a few letters of the alphabet. So,
Probably the most famous advisory committee that you do is hiring the superintendent. You set up an advisory committee where you get community input, staff input, et cetera, et cetera. That's the one that is most common. And some districts do it every year.
yes, they do. Thank you. Appreciate that, Dr. Finch. I'll ask the board, do we want to continue reading this now that we've discovered that BDF has been copied and pasted and put into BDE?
It still contradicts a prior one that we adjusted. So, and we may not, at this point, so many policies have been shoved that maybe we're back to the original. But when we look at duties, I still believe it conflicts. But
have a
we'd have
question.
to look at those side by side to see.
Yes, Dr. Peck.
This is referring to advisory committees, which is, we just discussed if we as a board have a committee. What about other committees that the superintendent might?
There are two lanes in our district. One is committees. That is one that includes parental and community members. And then there's what we call work teams, and the community often mixes those. Work teams are not community, they're internal processes. So I think it's just on social media last week. There was some confusion about a committee of the riffing process, which is already policy, which is already in our machine. And riffing is reduction in force. That is a work team, that's internal. But that's an example of one. Budget is another one where community members are from the community, staff members, etc. We did boundaries before. Boundaries is another example of one that that works together with the community members. Calendar is another one that we do every year. That's been probably since the beginning of school in general. Those are three off the top of my head.
Follow-up question. So board members cannot be part of those committees, obviously part of advisory committee, but not part of those committees or those working groups.
Well, that's actually a tricky question because that's a wise observation. Here's the pluses and minuses. Different districts do it differently, but in general, the concept, I was actually, remember back in Michigan, I was an ISD superintendent over 6, and some of them did this differently. They would actually have board members assigned to community committees that went out into the committee and did different things. So I've seen it done differently. Here's the problem if you have one board member on any committee and no one else is on it, then you are getting inside information or your perspective or providing your perspective as an individual versus a board. So in general, you don't see that just because of I don't think conflict of interest is the right word, the inability to spread out the information over all board members to have the same information. Maybe that makes better sense.
It does. And then do those meetings fall under open meeting law?
They do when they have community members on them, correct.
Community members. So board members could attend a
Sure,
meeting.
as an observation, sure. And some of them are actually online as well, depending on the type of thing. There is, some of them go to different locations. I think Boundaries is a good example. We actually go to all the 5 high schools, and that actually happens in public. So there are different versions, but you're on the right trail. Yep.
Thank you.
That's already occurring. We already have some board members that are very highly informed and actually operating as employees within the district.
Yeah, your board president is historically probably the most informed of any board member in all school districts.
Has not been that case. It's only
I've been a
specific-
superintendent for 27 years and worked with hundreds of school board members, and that would be the case.
I've been the board president, and Ms. Paperman was also the board president, and that did not apply
Oh, yeah.
in either case.
I spent more time with you than all other board members combined.
We're getting off track, so I appreciate the conversation, but it's probably better for off the dais. So we have policy BDG was the other one. I need to ask before I try to drain this. I can tell you all, which you guys probably already know, and Dr. Finch covered, but BDG speaks specifically to ARS, which is Arizona Revised Statute, regarding the attorney relationship with the district. So we can read the additions and the changes here. It's only a one-pager. County attorney as the statutory attorney for the district. The county attorney may serve as the district's legal counsel if no legal conflict of interest exists and based on the availability of staff. So for those of you that don't know, districts don't need to hire their own attorney as we have. If we have an issue, we can go to the county attorney and you get to wait in line, and when they can get to you and answer your question, they will do so. We pay for legal counsel so that we can kind of have them at our beck and call when issues arise, so that we can address things in a timely fashion. But that's just simply saying that districts can use the county attorney. The next red section there is compensation and purchase should be determined at the time of employment of private counsel. So before we engage with legal counsel, we need to have already decided what the bill is going to look like. Being deleted out of this one is the next paragraph. Ordinarily, the district may use the services of the county attorney. However, when the board deems it to be in the best interest of the district, the board may retain private counsel and services. Compensation and purpose should be determined at the time of employment. So that paragraph has been busted up and created the first paragraph and that new sentence in that other paragraph. And then you've got the red line in the next paragraph. The superintendent may authorize other district personnel to consult with legal counsel on matters related to their professional responsibilities with approval from the superintendent or board president. A board member may consult with legal counsel for a matter that is directly related to his or her board responsibilities. So what this is saying is, like Dr. Finch mentioned, I can think of opportunities just this school year so far where probably everybody on his cabinet has had to reach out to our legal counsel to ask for either direction or just confirmation that the direction that they're taking is legal and in the best interest of the district. Yes, Dr. Pack, sorry.
Just a clarification, the line that says, that's being added, with approval from the superintendent or board president, you and you at the moment, a board member, maybe me, may consult with legal counsel for a matter that is directly related to his or her board responsibilities. Is that with the majority vote?
No.
No, that would not be.
No.
It is allowed.
But it's with your.
Correct.
or
Correct.
your-
Yes.
And the reason for that is usually time. So usually you need an answer right now, and so that gives the authority for us to say, yep, that makes sense. I do not know the answer. Why don't you call them? Or you often just tell me, hey, could you check that out for me? And I call them and report back to you. That's usually how it happens. But it does allow them to talk to them directly with the board. I usually direct that to the board president.
Thank you.
And then the deleted sentence in the last paragraph, only the superintendent may contact private counsel by telephone or in person regarding matters pertaining to the day-to-day operation of the district. So again, that's being struck because of the rewrite in the previous paragraph. It kind of actually broadens accessibility to counsel in documentation, right? As Dr. Finch has said, and as Mrs. Fisher said, that we already do the changes. This just is going to codify it in policy. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Yeah, I would encourage every board member, don't ever feel like we're rushing, because we're here to be about the business of the district. I just want to make sure, as the president, it's my responsibility to make sure that we stay on task and that we run an efficient meeting, but we need to do it correctly also. So if we want to discuss the topics, by all means, let's have a discussion, but let's make sure that we're actually discussing the topic and try not to go down memory lane or any parables.
No one's going down memory lane. The reality is, even in the one you just read, law has changed regarding what the county attorney must do. And ASBA may not be taking it into consideration. It is our duty to make sure our policies are fitting of our district, and that's my concern. But
Are you aware that the law is different than what's cited in the change, Mrs. Fisher?
Yeah, actually, I was just kind of looking it up. But if we're going to rush through it here, it'll be on consent in the next one, and we already saw how that goes. So I concede. Move on.
Does anybody else have questions about?
You can email me with your concern, and I can contact ASBA and find out why, if you're interested in that information.
Sorry.
I have 2 weeks
Every
to-
email I send is
I have 2
responded
weeks
to with
I can do
something
it.
nasty. Not gonna
Well,
do
we
that.
had questions about, just so the community knows, we had some questions about policy this meeting, and there were a great deal of questions answered, and we handled it.
Nope, we did not.
And so if there's outstanding questions that aren't answered and things need to be removed from a consent agenda, we've all learned and discussed the proper policy or process rather to do that, so that we can still maintain an efficient board meeting. So there's always a process by which things can be heard. So if the community reviews these and you guys have questions and we can't get you back in time, generally just as long as the agenda already isn't out there, we try to manipulate it to the best benefit of the community so that we can get business done correctly.
We still have one more.
Yeah, I'm sorry, D, I was just trying to make sure we were done with ABC, sorry.
Dr.
I can take this one. I'm pinch hitting for HR. So for this particular one, policy GCQF, this update comes as a result of the Senate Bill 1659, which updates language in ARS, I believe it's 13 or 15350, which has to do with what information is allowable for us to get from the state board. And that middle,
Existing policy N, as in Nancy, engaging in improper political activity. What does that include?
President Carver, Dr. Pack. So one, just to give context, that is a list of all the different categories of misconduct that could occur. And there are limitations and restrictions as far as what a public employee can do with respect to political activity. And so going outside of that would then fall into the category of misconduct.
So how does one find out what employees can and cannot do that would be considered improper political
Sure,
conduct?
that's a good question. We do have policies on that as well, and we have guidelines for what would be permissible and not permissible for our employees.
All right, thank you.
Any discussion about the paragraph or any other questions about this policy? Mr. Botfeld, Ms. Simichek?
No.
Thank you, ma'am. Next item on the agenda, call to the public. No public comment tonight, so on to board reports. Ms. Simichek, since you're telephonic, would you like to give your report first?
Sure, I can do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Over the past few weeks, I've had the opportunity to visit a couple of our schools and meet with the principals there to just kind of see how their school years are starting off. I had the pleasure of visiting Esperanza and Arrowhead, and I really got to see firsthand the incredible work that our educators and our staff are doing just every day. And I'm seeing really strong schools building strong communities. You can really feel it when you're walking through the campuses. It's just really clear to me that our students are in a caring, they're in caring, capable hands, and they look to be just genuinely excited to be at school. And one moment that was really special to me was an opportunity I got to visit on the kindergarten playground at Arrowhead, and I got to visit with my prior co-worker when we both taught at North Terra Canyon, and she was also my daughter's kindergarten teacher at Union Park, Miss Flory. So just a wonderful, awesome teacher, just great, wonderful reminder to see those kids running around, learning how to be good little ones for society, and manners and being kind to each other and respectful. I also attended the ASBA, the law conference last week on Thursday and Friday. And I just, it was really nice to be able to see, serving at the ledge, seeing the bills that we go through and pass, and then seeing those turned into the policy changes, and then having an opportunity to sit down with so many other board members and talk through what these really actually mean. And it was really nice to be a part of that. And I think I always gain the most knowledge out of the law conference over even just one that we attend in December. I really liked the law conference. We had information on a lot about students' rights, responsibilities, parents' rights, how to kind of control misinformation that is sometimes often presented within school boards, whether it's on social media or just through everyday conversation. I attended the DVUSD hosted the very lunch for our pop lunch for our school principals and our PTO presidents, which was great. Lots of great conversation happening in the room there, and wanted to thank just all the people who showed up and took the time to participate, because to be able to get all of your principals in one room with all the PTO presidents is amazing. And that just shows a really strong commitment on both the parent side and the principal side. So it's really wonderful to see. Other than that, I do want to take a moment to acknowledge, the hard work of our educators and our students and families and community partners, and the positive momentum that our district is, really something that we should be proud of. And as a governing board, we need to be reflecting that, same spirit, integrity, collaboration, and it really leads me, unfortunately, to where I'm going to end tonight real quickly. But I once again need to address a matter that's affecting our ability to do, just what I just mentioned, and as far as what is expected of us. I want to be there. It's very difficult. My seat is very difficult for me to sit in right now. In recent weeks, there's been social media posts made by a fellow board member that contain untruthful statements about myself and other board members. And while I understand that we may have different opinions and passionate discussions are part of the democratic process, it's completely unacceptable to publicly share misinformation about one another, especially right in the middle of a board meeting where we're supposed to be there for our students, not on social media, not ignoring the presentations that are being shared with us, but posting on social media during a meeting inappropriate things about another board member. The behavior it's not only disrespectful, but undermines the trust of our community. And it undermines, that trust that is for the board, and it distracts from the real work that we're here to do, which is to support our students and ensure success for our schools. Just a reminder that we're role models. When we all sit on this dais, we're held to a higher standard of professionalism and accountability, and our disagreements must be handled with civility, and our communication, especially public communication, must be truthful, respectful, and responsible. And what is being presented on social media right now from this board member is absolutely none of those three things. So I am once again respectfully requesting that the board member in question, we know who this person is, she sits to my left, immediately refrain from posting or
Ms.
sharing any
Simichek.
further
I'm
false
sorry.
information about colleagues. If there's concerns, the appropriate place to address them is here in
Ms.
board
Simichek.
meetings through board protocols. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Fisher.
Well, might as well just start my report backwards. I only have one response, which I had already thought of, because it's concerning when you have spread misinformation and trashed someone for over 3 years, 4 years, spread extreme misinformation, brought it to board meetings and handed it out and further spread awful things. You can't then expect that it's not going to be responded. I don't post things that are inaccurate. When I post exactly how a vote is made, it's how a vote is made. My only apology is that Botfield is not spelled with an I in it. It's just F-E-L-D, and I do appreciate the correction. I spent a lot of time this week looking at different things. I spent a lot of time looking at budgets, looking at where the budgets are in the background. I do want the community to know that you can go to ADE and you can, you don't have to go to the section that our staff goes. You can look at all this information. It is on there. Every report that Ms. Mock and her staff upload is there for you to see. Look at it, dig at it, feel free to look at it. Look at the reports, look at the funding, it's all there. And that's true of all districts, and it is open. So if you need a link, you can always email us and we'll send it to you. I too am concerned with the way the board's operating, and I'm sorry, I get it. People may not like it to be on social media. but that's the only platform we have to inform our community with what's actually happening on the district. It is also important to pay attention to things that we saw in the law conference. Things that, we did not stump the lawyer. We did get confusing lawyers, though, when we talked about whether or not the use of the consent agenda to silence the opinion of some is prohibited. Some say, one lawyer basically said, well, no, I mean, you just kind of go with the process. And then the next lawyer, a much more experienced lawyer, said, oh, no, that's not the way this works. Consent agenda is for those items that are 100% just they're going to happen. I mean, it doesn't matter what the vote is going to be kind of there. Like the employment one, people say, well, why do you guys have that on the consent? Because we are never going to pull off a single employee and say, we're not doing this on that one. We may pull off the item in question, but we would never do that because it would just be completely. So that is a item that belongs on consent. It's kind of a no-brainer. When we talk about, no, we have not done that. Even when we talk about the addenda, well, the addenda is already pre-approved. Even if you didn't agree with it, if it's on consent, it's already been pre-approved. So there's no going back on it. That's after the work has been confirmed. So that's what that is. And there are so many things, and you could smirk all you want, but we could talk about some of the inappropriate things that happen to board members by staff, and specifically by the superintendent's office. And but this stuff has to stop. I also sat at the law conference on a thing where it was primarily superintendents, and I was very proud of another board. I'm not sure whether she was a board member or a superintendent, and she said, what is going on in this room? Has anybody realized that there are kids? We're talking about all these adults and nobody wants to talk about kids, and we do that up here all the time. These policies, we need to make sure that the kids are the focus, and they never are. And that's the thing I saw at the law conference, and there will be a post later regarding open meeting laws and kind of clarifying. And what it comes down to is your open meeting laws are based on whether or not your lawyer knows the AG. And that's problematic. We're supposed to follow laws. We have laws. And when we don't follow laws and we blatantly violate them, and that's what the big thing at the law conference, our kids see it. The other thing is there is a law, there is a case that we're going to have to keep an eye on regarding religion and some of the other things. So we really need to be on top of that one as well. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Mr. Botfeld.
First and foremost, thank you for the 2 reports you made this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whenever you made them. It's no secret I'm a newbie. And as part of my being a newbie and a marketing research analyst, I've spent some time with principals of several schools in the district. And they're not just excellent. They're caring, and they're measuring progress, and they're working not just with students but with faculty to make things better. And the most surprising thing of all was every single one of the principals I talked to was concerned about school safety and showed me what they were doing to keep schools safe. I think that's important. Given the nation has failed public education over the last 5 years, and that scholarship has gone down considerably in that period, it's important that this school district, which is so unique in terms of its excellence, remain that way. And on that note, I say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Botfeld. Dr. Pack.
First of all, I wanted to give another round of applause for the students that were recognized for PTSA and FBLA, the adults and students. Being a former PTSA president and a former FBLA president, that's pretty exciting to see. Brings back memories. It was 40 years ago, but does bring back memories. And those kids work hard, and those parents in PTSA work hard. So yay for you guys. So I attended the most recent Arizona School Board Association Law Conference last week, and it's probably one of the better trainings that I've been to. I attended sessions on mandatory reporting, open meeting law, navigating Arizona's new wireless communication devices law, avoiding missteps in student support, and other topics. Another benefit of attending ASBA events is the opportunity to meet and discuss issues with other school board members from Arizona. Like Ms. Fisher mentioned at the NSBA, that having that common ground and talking to other school board members is very beneficial. So on an Arizona level, being at the ASBA, having that common ground with other board members in other districts is helpful because you can discuss issues they're having with the same issues you're having and seeing how do they handle it. There was considerable consensus among speakers and other board members across the state that consent agenda items should be straightforward, as consent agenda items are intended for routine, non-controversial matters, also known as housekeeping matters. So while policies don't come up all the time, because we're reviewing them, we don't do them every year. Policies, for example, are previewed, and board members do ask questions ahead of time. Taylor can confirm that I send lots of questions all the time. I did not this time. We do ask questions ahead of time. Sometimes a question will pop up or a follow-up question. And the fact that not one, but two, but three board members last week had questions does give pause that maybe not all proposed policy changes should go from preview to consent, but perhaps better done from preview to action. Tonight, we just spent quite a bit of time on this, so I don't anticipate any other questions. And I did review it ahead of time. So thank you for that. But we want to make sure that every board member fully understands the new and updated policies because they're policies that we have to abide by. So enough said on that. I do assume when I went to the conference and I learned about the wireless technology and what other schools are doing, I assume we can discuss as a board and pull off a policy that we've already approved if we need to update it, because when it's new, we might need to tweak it. So I assume we can address policies in the future that we've just adopted that we may need to update. I also attended the ASBA Delegate Assembly in my role as the voting delegate, and I participated in that whole process. I will say technical difficulties are not limited to our school district board meetings. There were a couple snafus, but we did maneuver our way through. We had to make a motion to change our rules just so we could vote. So voting from our phones was a little difficult. I stood and spoke against a motion to remove the proposal for matching the tax credits for public schools and private schools that we put forward. And it's pretty exciting. And that motion to remove was defeated and the proposal passed. So I believe that there is some confusion among one or two of the delegates regarding tax credits in general. I'll just leave it at that. Unrelated to the legislative event, I would like to share something I learned somewhere along the way that many people may not be aware of. Families who utilize ESA funds cannot also use public school tax credits. I'm not sure that that's commonly known. So with that, I do plan to visit more schools in the near future, as well as look into the Pathways program. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pack. I want to start off by saying anybody that's listening at home, and for those of you that are here, tonight's meeting would be a great meeting to go in and grab some of those files from some of the presentations and share them. There was some amazing information shared that I think some folks in the community aren't aware of, because truly, and I know that I'm a little bit biased when I say this, having graduated from this district, but Deer Valley Unified School District is amazing. I'm sure in its 90 years, it's had bumps in the road that have given people cause for pause. But right now, we are simply amazing. We are the light on the hill and should be given a little bit more credit than what we are. A couple of things. I inquired about what did we do about the Mandarin program at Gavilan Peak, because that seems to be something that is bad information that's out there. The Mandarin program is still very alive and very strong at Gavilan Peak. Because of light enrollment, we did combine classes and make it a specials for kindergarten. But it still exists in its entirety, and every child still has an opportunity to go all the way K through 12 in Deer Valley Unified School District learning Mandarin. A couple of things real quick. There was mention of an open meeting law complaint at the last meeting and referred a little bit to in this meeting. I want to let the community know that that is true. There was an open meeting law complaint filed against the district, and the response from the Attorney General was that there was no grounds for the complaint and it was dismissed. So everybody can rest assured that we are following the law and we are intent on making sure that we do things as right as possible. Not to say that we're not human beings and won't make a mistake from time to time, and I, for one, am willing to learn from them if that happens. Also, I want to share with the community that during one of the last few board meetings, there were some complaints that were dealt with, and one of the results from that complaint was that the board would issue or reach out to a third party and have them review our FOIA request process. That review was completed and was found that actually Deer Valley is more than accommodating when it comes to FOIA requests in the Deer Valley Unified School District and go far above and beyond. There were some policy suggestions made by that third-party council that we have not addressed yet to hopefully make it a little bit easier for the employees that deal with those to know where the line will be, as we do try to be helpful and fulfill all requests, but not all requests are reasonable according to the law. I also attended the POP luncheon, which is where our PTA presidents come in with our, not our superintendents, our principals, to visit with the superintendent and some administration staff and get the download of all the great things that are going on in the district so they can see where our challenges are and where our successes are. One part of that meeting, especially for this time of year, was each of the high school regions broke out so that they could discuss homecoming plans. For those of you in the community and in the room that don't know, Deer Valley prides itself on having parades at each of the 5 high schools to celebrate our homecoming. Our homecoming parades are something to see, so if you get a chance, look it up on the district website as to what time and date the school closest to you will be having a parade, and go out there and check it out. It's pretty awesome. Continued my FBI training classes. Session number 5 out of 8 is in the books. We discussed domestic terror, what it is, what it looks like, and how they combat it, and the process by which FBI agents try to become undercover FBI agents. And that was pretty informative. For those of you that missed it, there were only 2 schools that played football inside their own district in our district last week, and that was Deer Valley High School against Barry Goldwater at Deer Valley. And when I showed up, I was really dismayed because a lot of people in leadership in the district said, Paul, I don't know how to tell this to you, but your Skyhawks are going to get beat tonight. And so I just want to apologize up front. And, you know, I usually stay till the end of all the games, but at halftime, I was tired. I'd been traveling for the week. We were indeed being beat. It was ridiculous. It was 34 to 15 at the half, and I left. And when I woke up in the morning, I was sorely disappointed in myself because Skyhawks won 38 to 34. So if you're not getting out on the campuses and seeing what's going on, you are truly missing out to see the kind of teamwork and camaraderie that's going on our campuses, whether it's in sports or arts or in the classrooms. And that's all I've got for you, Dr. Finch.
I think the same thing happened with the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. Everybody went to bed and got up at, what? That can't be right. Yep, that was a great game. And actually, Goldwater and Deer Valley are still on their paths. Goldwater is 5A and Deer Valley is 4A. And so actually, in the end, hopefully they'll both make the playoffs. It looks like they probably will. Last year, Goldwater won their region. They're on projection to do that again. I also want to echo that the community needs to go back and watch that section about the high school performances, because again, that is the end line. That's the goal. That's why we are all here. It's that last test called the ACT. And although only 13 states make all students do it, all juniors, we still make that average. So that's crazy that Deer Valley is outperforming the national average, and most of the states don't even require all their students to take it. So it's only the select few. It just shows again, the commitment of the machine to meet the needs of each individual student. And in the end, it pays off. So congrats to the staff. It's a reflection. Again, growth shows the ability of the teacher. Most of the time, proficiency points really to zip code. So if you want to know how well your school's doing, look at the growth. Then you'll see what kind of teachers you have. We have the National Board Certified Teacher Kickoff was on September 3rd. That's a program that we support here. And it's really kind of the next level of being a teacher. And we continue to have record numbers of staff that are signing up for that. And it's a great process. If you want to know more about it, just let me know and we can give you an update about that. We had private university night here last week in this room. We did fight technology as well, but we got it done. That's something that we do all the time. I don't know if you saw ABC 12 on Sunday, but one of our employees, Jennifer LaCava, received a car from CCV. If you haven't seen that yet, Google it. I was there, and she's a great mom, a great employee, great community leader, and the church wanted to recognize that we can help. So thanks to CCV Anthem for helping out one of our employees there for some transportation. She wouldn't let me drive it today because it's not insured, but I told her that's just a recommendation. We've had a lot of media coverage in the last, actually probably the last 3 years. And that's a credit to our communications department. I just want to give them a shout out. Unfortunately, in America, if it bleeds, it leads. And so we want to be a different voice, given the positive things that kids do, so we can change that perception. I'm going to be hitting my 5,000th classroom tomorrow. I try to get to 500 each year. On year number 9, you do the math, that means I've been getting more than 500, so number 5,000 is tomorrow. Don't tell anybody, though, it's a surprise. I think there might be cupcakes involved, I heard. They're probably snack worthy, though, whatever, right? Right. Smart snacks, that's what it is. If another cool community event is going to be happening on September 11th, I believe it's the 11th, at O'Connor High School. We're the game of the week. It's going to be broadcast on TV, so you can watch it from your couch if you'd like. But the flyover is at 6:50. 2 F-35s will be flying over O'Connor, so duck. And that's rare to be able to get that privilege. And so they're going to be having a whole ceremony. But if you're 651, you missed it. You'll probably hear them going over your car as you're trying to get up the freeway. So you want to check that out at O'Connor, 6:50 p.m. on the 11th. And National ADs Week is this week. And so make sure we thank our athletic directors and the number of students that help support our whole sports medicine program, help making sure our athletes are safe, having a good time. Middle school sports have started. Yes, in the heat. Yes, they have. And so we just want to thank, again, I want to go back to the beginning. That high school data was #extraordinary, and it really takes a team effort to do that. And I would put that data against any in the state. So pretty amazing, and keep up the great work. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Finch. Future board meetings are listed on the Deer Valley Unified School District website. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Or we can stay.
So moved.
And we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Y'all have a good night. Drive safe.